Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
This is Dan Holfeld from Talk is Cheap, and you're listening to Unbiased and on the Fence with Shane Robinson.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
This is Shane with Unbiased and On the Fence. You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream on Oneness Talk Radio.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Unbiased and On the Fence.
Happy 222 to you guys. It's the Friday Night Love Stream. So glad you guys could join us here. And let's see who is in the chat on this wonderful 222. Shout out. Hey, there's Carrie. Hey, I did want to, I got an interesting email today in regards to the Mandela effect that I wanted to bring out. I still need to do more research into this, and I'll probably do a whole separate video as it relates to this, this actual information. But if you go to, if you actually will, this is in regards to the Mandela effect and the JFK assassination, which a lot of people remember there being 4 occupants in the car. And Governor Connolly's wife, Nellie Connolly, was not in the car, which is interesting because, you know, when you look at the footage now, she's sitting right next to him, and it's a 6-seater car. And so, yeah, she was there in the car with him when you look at the official history as it relates. But a lot of people remember there was only 4 occupants in the car. Sitting next to the driver was Governor Connolly, and his wife was not in the car. So Vivian, big thank you for sending me the email. Vivian sent me transcripts of the police radio from that day. And what's interesting about this is, and you can do a search for this yourself by actually just type in the JFK assassination Dallas police tapes. And the first thing that's going to come up is mcadams.posc.mu.edu. And it's the DPD, Dallas Police Department tapes. If you go to 1:37 in the afternoon, now this is going to be about an hour and 7 minutes after the time of the assassination, and check out the transcripts. I mean, this is incredible, because what we have is a communication between the Assistant Chief of Police, Charles Batchelor, who is no longer alive. I think he was around 58 at the time. And he says, Mrs. Connolly is being flown in here from Austin. She will arrive at Love Field A state car will be standing by, but it will probably be an hour before she gets here. Notify the command post at Parkland to get her through when she arrives. Dispatch says 10-4. Dispatcher then contacts Parkland and says, dispatcher to Parkland, command post. Mrs. Connolly will arrive in about an hour. Be sure to let her through. Parkland command post says 10-4. So that's interesting. When you actually look at this information, it's said to come from the Warren Commission report, Exhibit 1974, and that's as far as I've gotten. I need to still source that out, see if I can find that in the Warren Commission. But I mean, this is huge. I mean, if we've got official police records, radio records saying that there was, they were going to pick her up in about an hour. This is like 2 hours after the assassination. And her husband's, it was right around the time that he went into surgery. If you look at the official timeline of that day. So I don't know if, if we're going to look at the Warren Commission and find that they indeed did pull the information directly from there, or if we're actually going to see that they've scrubbed it. I really don't know. So I will do a separate video on the Unbiased and On the Fence YouTube channel when I do finish researching this out, because this could be huge for a lot of people who know they remember 4 people in the car, but now apparently there has always been 6. So phone lines are open.
Let's go.
Call in now and share your oneness experience with the world on Oneness Talk Radio. To call into the show, dial 605-562-0444. That's 605-562-0444. Enter show ID 147-7973. That's 147-7973. For international phone numbers, go to onenesstalkradio.com and click Unbiased and On the Fence under the Live Shows tab at the top.
Your calls, your stories, on air.
You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream on Oneness Talk Radio. That's right, we're debuting on Oneness Talk Radio. You can go to onenesstalkradio.com. There's actually a chat there you can participate in, and a live player. Yeah, Metal Rabbit, good to see you in here. We are definitely broadcasting. Well, actually, looks like we're having some problems broadcasting. It's not going through, but it will eventually be on there. So we, I don't know if the player, I don't really know what it is. I'll troubleshoot as soon as we get a caller in here. Phone lines are wide open. I'm going to feature a little Wingmakers material while I try to figure out what the connection issue is. Stand by.
What do?
have our first caller. Carolina, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Shane? How's everybody
wonderful.
doing?
Been a while. Welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it has been a while because, you know, you get to that point in this journey where you just stop seeking outward. You just want to go inward, and that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been on that mission inward.
Right.
And it's beautiful. It's definitely a beautiful discovery and all that, but these energies, what I'm noticing is it's just getting intense, more and more intense, which each wave that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's exciting time. Exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's just, but you know, you see everybody that's still kind of like asleep in that 3D zombie world, and it's just like you want to just shake them awake. Like, guys, there's so much more over here on the other side. Come on,
totally.
You know.
Yeah, but everybody's on their own path, so you know, you just gotta, you know, be there for them, love them, and just let them wake up when they wake up. Because some people just aren't ready to wake up. You know.
I know. And it's sad to me because that's most of the people around me, you know, they're just not ready to wake up. And here I am, and I'm just like this positive ball of energy constantly most days when I'm not knocked down by the waves, because that happens too.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're just still asleep, and it's just like, well, all I can do is love you, so I have love for you.
Yeah, and we have each other in this community too, which is nice because, you know, we're not completely alone. So.
It's growing to a beautiful pace, but I don't know, these energies lately, it's been very intense. And,
what kind of symptoms have you been experiencing?
Oh, everything.
You've been getting the headaches?
Flashes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. The day we had the full moon, I had a headache for about 24 hours straight, and it was just like pulsing. It was just insane how much my head was hurting, and I just couldn't even get out of bed because I couldn't open my eyes to even see anything, because it was just every time I would open my eyes, I was seeing energy move, and it was making me nauseous. And I'm just like, okay, let's ground all this. But it's intense. I definitely felt that wave, and I know there's a big one coming.
Yeah, are you talking about the equinox or?
I'm talking about the equinox.
Right. Yeah.
We
I'm
have
looking forward to that one.
Portal dates on. So.
Say that again.
We have quite a few portal dates coming up next month, so 3 portal dates.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I took advantage of the 222 yesterday and today, and I'm feeling pretty good, just soaking up the energies and stuff.
That's all we can do. But I'm glad you brought up when you first opened the show. I'm glad you brought up JFK and the whole 4-passenger, 6-passenger thing, because in my reality, it was always 4.
Yeah.
It was always 4. Like,
I know when I showed my wife the picture of that, and she looked at the picture and her eyes got so big, and she was like, "What the heck?" You know what I mean? Because I mean, you see it like every year on the anniversary, practically every year. You know, unless you just happen to not be looking at the TV that day, because they always bring it up every year on the date, November 22nd, and then you know, or on his birthday. So it could be even a couple of times a year. You know, and then so it's just been, you know, just over and over just in your mind over the years. And it, like I tell her, it was like the most graphic thing I'd ever seen. And it wasn't even in color originally. It was black and white. Now it's all colored and just, I don't know, it's just so graphic now, you know?
Digitally enhanced.
Yeah, really. Totally. But yeah, it's a shocker. It's a shocker when you look at it and you know there was 4 people in the car, and now all of a sudden, but if this document pans out here, this could be huge, you know. But you know, it's one of those things where, you know, this is different than most residue. Most residue, you know, people say, well, that's why people are confused because of this or that, you know. But this is one of those that you can't really do that as much with, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's always that residue that's kind of like been hidden, that it's kind of been untouched, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff we have to go find. That's where our treasure is, you know.
Did you happen to catch Cynthia Sue Larson when she was on?
No, I didn't. I've been so MIA, out of the loop. I keep popping in here and there, but I'm going to go check it out. I'm kind of catching up on some things now, so.
Yeah, well, she had brought up the fact that, you know how some people don't seem to see it, especially if they seem to be really close to it. So like a heart surgeon, if you ask him about the location of the heart, he'll say it's always been in the center of your chest or whatever. And, you know, but like, you know, there's nurses and stuff that don't work so closely with it, and they'll see that it's been moved or whatever. But the other thing is, she was saying that, you know, the whole observer effect, if that plays into, I can't even remember the name of it, you'll have to watch the show, but it plays into the idea that if you are constantly looking at it, then you don't allow it to change. But if something changes in reality like the heart, then it kind of works backwards and sort of rewrites that heart doctor's history to where he'll remember learning all about the heart being in the center of the chest. It's like it will always have been there for him. And so I thought that was really cool, the way she explained it from a quantum physics approach, you know.
Yeah.
So I think you'll enjoy that.
I see the whole quantum level of it, which is beautiful. Like, once you see that whole, like, how it does change on a quantum level and why, and how the observation and how we perceive changes and all that, it changes the whole Mandela effect completely.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're kind of like just getting into the Mandela effect, like, oh my God, that changed. No, wait a minute. What's going on? Am I not remembering correctly? And going through all that,
yeah.
You kind of get lost in the rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's exciting, though. I know it freaks people out right at first, but once you see that everything's fine, you can relax about it and just sort of enjoy the fact that we woke up in some kind of sci-fi movie or show or something, you know?
If people just knew how sci-fi this reality really is. You know?
Oh, I know, and it only gets better. The more you look at stuff, you're like, wait a minute, this just, I mean, I've been getting synchronicities off the hook, and it's like, wow, how's this even possible, you know?
Me too. Crazy synchronicities, and like twin flame synchronicities. Like, one day I was driving and I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was definitely like planning on going somewhere, and all of a sudden I'm just like lost, like I guess I was channeling, breathing, I don't know what I was doing, but I was just driving and I got lost. Well, not lost, but detoured. And as I'm getting detoured, I see this like old school limo with the license plate. It said True Love 7777 on it. That was the license plate. And then immediately after that, I saw a car, which I got detoured again, just not realizing. It said Gemini. And then I saw another car that said Decon on the license plate. It said Decon Joe, which Joe, that's the name of my twin flame. So it's just like mind blown. I guess he's being deprogrammed, because right now we're in separation and not talking and all that. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah. So you say you've been busy with other stuff. You want to talk about that?
Just really digging deep, like inside of myself, and really just embodying, just I'm at that point of like embodying and just kind of like doing whatever I kind of want, you know what I mean? Like walking through the gym, singing, not caring, like, you know what I mean? Just kind of going like the world is kind of revolving around me, which I'm not trying to say that in like a selfish way, but you kind of get to this point where it's like you just start to notice how everything works for you, once you allow it, and once you let go of any fear, or, it kind of all just aligns with you. And people look at you like, what is wrong with her? But I'm just like in my own world, like, hey. So you just get that joy that, like, I can't explain it, but you know what I'm talking about, the whole...
Yeah, it's even a liberation with it, because once you realize that there's so many things you don't even have to worry about, you can just trust that they're going to be handled. It's I don't know, it's liberating. I can't think of a better word for it than like, wow, I don't even have to worry about that. Anything that's out of my hands, just trust whoever's out there, God, my higher self, or the Holy Spirit, or however you want to look at it. I don't know, but I know that
however you look,
it's handled.
Same energy.
Right.
Yeah. It's beautiful, but I'm in the place like I want to be more of service to others, and it's like, where do I start? Like, that's the answer I'm looking for, it's like, where do I even start? Because I know I've tried different methods in the past and they've failed me, as I was very attacked by those that we don't want to attack us because of various reasons, but we all have to go through that, getting through the illusion of everything. And, when my TV went from HD to 3D, that's when I kind of started out. Like I would go to the gym and all of a sudden the screen at the gym, it would turn on by itself and I'd have like a giant crocodile jump out at me in 3D vision. I'm just like, whoa, okay, but I'm just gonna continue because that's what I came to do.
Right.
Like there was just no fear, there was just no fear. Like even seeing these things when your third eye is just wide open, and it's just like there's really no fear. Like it's beautiful once you get past that. So for anybody still that feels any fear, I encourage you to just breathe because there's nothing to fear. So, but yeah, that's kind of, I just want to be of service to people. Like, I just want to help others. I just want to love them. I just want to, you know.
Yeah, and it's so fulfilling too. That's why, like Tanya's saying, you're doing a good service. I feel like I'm just doing what I love to do here, you know, and that it's like I feel honored to be doing what I'm doing and having people want to hang out and stuff. For living like a life as an outcast, never part of the main group of people, this is awesome to me, you know? And it's like, then I find everybody else has been like that too. And it's like, oh, it's like all the outcasts have found each other and we're like hanging out, you know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing.
It's so funny. Because, like, I don't know about others, but me growing up, I totally agree with that. Because me growing up, I always felt outcast. Well, I guess we all, yeah, you just said that. We all did. And I've always felt alien on this planet. It's like, why? And no matter how hard I tried to fit in, I would always just fit in with the wrong crowd and I'd get in trouble and then it'd backfire on me. So, you know, it's like, okay, something has to change and shift. And, you know, it's just, I'm so grateful for my awakening because it's changed my life. It's changed my perspective. It's changed my heart. It's changed my mind. You know, it's just, it's so beautiful. And I want it for all of us. Like, that's my heart of hearts.
Well, do you plan on, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Jersey, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. So you're on the other side. I was wondering if you're going to try to make it out to East City this year. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't, but I do want to go out to Arizona. I feel like I'm being called to Arizona, and there's actually a community college out there that I want to look into because they have like healing arts programs.
Oh, wow.
That's where I'm headed. Yeah, healing arts.
Like fun.
But
yeah,
right
that's
now,
awesome.
You know, we're personal healing of everything. Because there's still those imprints that kind of, you know, they still sneak up on, like, okay, what is this? I have to analyze this and let it go.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm so glad I took that BQH course because, man, I've gotten way more than I bargained for out of just, I mean, I tell anybody, if you got like a tax return coming or something, $300 is not a lot to drop on this whole thing. Because, I mean, you could even pair up and take it with somebody and do a session on each other. But a few Friday nights ago, I started the program with Sherry Overprotected, and she actually channeled a non-terrestrial during her session, had no recollection of any of like the talk and stuff. She had a few little, you know, once it was brought up, she kind of had like a faint memory of it and stuff. But wow, it was like some law of one channeling stuff. It was so cool. I can't say it enough. But yeah, you can, I think it's only like 300 with the code. I got one in the description box, but definitely worth, definitely
so
worth the investment.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. That's kind of where I'm being called to. And I'm noticing about my hands. I have healing hands, and it's something I've been told my whole life is I have healing hands. And I never really knew what it meant.
Right.
Until I was, you know, and even when I was hairdressing, because I used to be a hairdresser up until a year and a half ago, and every client that was like autistic or very elderly and they were just very sensitive to touch or sound or, you know, for some reason I was the only stylist in any of my salons that could actually help them and cut their hair and color their hair and style their hair. No other stylist could touch them. And now in retrospect, I look back on that, I'm like, wow, like somehow I was maybe absorbing the frequencies and like, you know, calming it, but I wasn't even aware I was doing it until later on when I'm out of the field and I'm like, whoa, I really do like have something going on here.
Yeah. Well, what kind of surprised me is with the BQH is that when I got in there and started doing it, I realized that I might have been like the facilitator, but it's really the higher selves that's really doing all the work. And it's like you're just kind of helping out because, you know, you just feel like you have to have some kind of special gift or something, but you really don't. You know, it's like everything else is handled for you. And so that was kind of a big surprise for me. I'm like, wow, we really are having help during this session. It's really wild.
It's an amazing feeling when you actually feel like your higher self, like you start to really embody that and you feel it in those moments, especially when you're fully connected. It's it's an indescribable feeling. Like I can't personally describe words.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
It just, first time I actually felt that, like I broke down in tears and I cried and I was just like, wow, like I'm speechless.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like I'm speechless because after all I went through with my own personal awakening, it's been crazy, but so worth it. So worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, things are changing, and I still get. I got a comment earlier today where somebody was like, "So you guys are the only ones experiencing these?" I think it was on me and Michelle's video from Tuesday. You guys are the only ones experiencing this? And I'm like, well, everybody experiences stuff differently, but I'm sure we're not alone. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like, look around, you know, look at the sun. It's not yellow anymore. Look at these rainbow mountains. Look at just, I mean, you can feel the energies. I can anyway, you know. I think we're just so busy with our lives that we don't stop to smell the roses, so to speak, as they say, you know.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I mean, I look at like the sky now and I see the actual grid. Like I see the energy grid. And even when I'm looking at the sun, I see like different like color rays coming from it. And I even have pictures of like videos and stuff of me, like I guess when I was channeling, where I see like my crown chakra lighting up and I see that like purple ray like coming down on me. I don't
That's
know.
amazing.
I can't describe it. And I'm like, do other people see this too in my videos? Like, I don't post them on YouTube. It's like social media, but I'm like, do other people see this? I'm wondering if they see it, because I'm seeing it, and I see it in other people's videos where like their chakras are like lighting up, and you know, like if they're speaking from the heart, their heart chakra lights up. If you know they're channeling down, I see their crown, or if they're speaking from like the root, their root lights up. So it's just like, I wonder if anybody else sees this.
Yeah.
Because like I'm literally seeing it.
Are you actually you actually channel right now?
No, well, I have my channel up, but I don't really like post anything. I'm trying to kind of go with the flow where I'm gonna go with it, but I do want to eventually make a YouTube channel, and I am getting the message that I need to.
Right. No, I mean actually channeling a higher being.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know for sure. I haven't quite gotten to that openness yet, but I can tell you when I was going through my awakening, I had my car accident, and the night I had my car accident, which was December 2017, kind of in the middle of the month, that night I was picked up by the tow truck, and I was literally in a spiritual battle that night, because I would look down at my phone when I was in the tow truck and I would be tapping uncontrollably at my screen. And then my head would spring up and I would sing hallelujah at the top of my lungs, completely conscious of what was going on, but I had no control over myself in those moments in the tow truck. And then I regained control, but I was being attacked. So then I realized I was being attacked, and I ended up having everything cleared, but it's just like, in those moments, I knew I was channeling my higher self, and I was being attacked. My higher self was being attacked, because it was all showing up literally in those moments in that experience. And I was just like, whoa, like that was mind blowing to me, because I had no control of myself.
Yeah.
Zero control. So
now, what kind of mood were you in when that happened? Were you high vibe when that attack happened, or were you lower vibe, do you feel like?
I was kind of like in between. I don't know. It was kind of one of those, I had to experience it kind of things. Like my higher self kind of put me in that position to kind of experience certain things, so I can kind of see beyond the veil, you know, and see that there's far more beyond what I experience in my physical body. So it was kind of in that phase when that happened, but it blew my mind. Like, and the tow truck guy, the poor tow truck guy, I don't know what he must have been thinking, because he was looking at me like I was crazy. And I'm just looking at him like, hey, do you like people when they sing? Like, I love to sing. Hallelujah, like crazy. It was just crazy. I can't even. But like, yeah, looking back, I'm just like laughing at it. I'm like, wow, like this is really, I took the crash course, huh? Like that's literally. Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But in retro, it's all worth it. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful nobody was actually hurt. You know, so you got to just look at the positive.
Totally.
And let it go. But in retrospect, it is kind of funny to experience that. And like, I wonder if anybody else has experienced something like that, because I know we all have our own crazy experiences during the awakening, our own personal awakening.
Yeah.
Some of us, most of us, a lot of us, but I don't know if anybody else experienced anything like that.
Well, just having the, you know, when you get caught off guard by something amazing happening, because that just happened to me the other day. I was going to take this trip yesterday to go out in nature and meditate and everything. And the night before, I had this dream that I had it was I could barely remember any of the dream, right? So like, I just remember like something had happened. I don't know if it was a blowout or an accident or something like that. And then I remember looking at my front tire and I could see the still belt coming out of it, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess like the tire blew out maybe, but it wasn't blown out in the dream. When I looked at it, like what I remembered from the dream, that was really the only thing I remember. It was like the still belts coming out of my tire. And so like the next day, I'd already had a problem with that tire going low. So I looked at the tire and it, you know, it looked like it was pretty low, but I didn't see any still belts coming out. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and fix it anyway. It just so happens that used tires are $50 and somebody had just donated $50 that day, and I took it as like a sign. So I went out and got a used $50 tire with nice tread on it. And the guy calls me over there and he goes, look at this. He goes, you need to get your tires aligned. And the inner edge of my tire had the still coming out of it, just like in my dream. And I'm like, my eyes got really big and I'm looking at it and he's like, oh, it's no big deal. Just get it aligned. And I'm like, no, I had a dream about it looking like this last night. And he just laughs at me. You know what I mean? So I couldn't help it because he looked at my face and he saw my eyes real big and he's like, what are you tripping off of, man? You know, you're fixing it, you know, but yeah, I just got caught off guard. I was going to bring it up with Michelle because we always talk about dreams on Tuesday, but that was like, you know, I've had symbolic dreams that it felt like apply to real life, but that was the first time I actually caught a glimpse of the future. It felt like, you know, without it being a symbol or something, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I hear what you're saying totally, because I have dreams like that too. And I actually dreamt about my accident. I actually had my first sleep paralysis a few months before my accident. And it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
But I completely, no, it was one of those, like, you're sleeping and you're dreaming. And I was driving down the highway in my car, which on the highway is where it happened. And all of a sudden I go over the hill and there's this, like, 4 or 5, like, rainbow UFOs on the ground. And I felt that, like, pull as I'm driving past them. They were just glowing, just beautiful. And they were hovering above the ground. And I felt like that pull that, like, was pulling me out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up. And when I woke up, I couldn't move. And I was just like, what is going on? I wasn't, like, in fear or anything, but I was just like, I can't move.
Wow.
You know, like, sleep paralysis, but not, like, any fear. There wasn't any fear. And then, you know, a couple months later, I got into my accident. It was very just similar kind of to that. So, but I didn't see any UFOs. It kind of, like, it was the same kind of feeling being pulled out of my body when I got into the accident.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But they could have been like on a different dimension where you couldn't see them, or, you know, phased out of this reality, but still there, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly what was happening. They were just in a higher frequency, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had crazy dreams and stuff like that happen too, but mine are more symbolic usually.
Yep, same here. And you don't even realize it until later on. You're like, oh, that's what that was about.
But lately, like the past couple weeks, I feel like whenever I do fall asleep and I am dreaming and I wake up, like I feel like I'm still in the dream when I wake up. And I'm like talking as if I'm still like in the dream.
Wow.
And then I snap out, like, wait a minute, that was just a dream. That was another reality. Now I'm here. Okay, let's get it together. But lately that's kind of been happening. Like there's no real like separation between dreamland and this dream.
Yeah.
You know?
So have you been experiencing, I think me and Michelle were talking about it, about how you'll think of something, you're like, wait a minute, was that a dream or did that really happen? And it's like that, just the difference between the two seems to be breaking down, and it's harder to remember if you're remembering from a dream or from reality. Have you been dealing with that?
Kind of, yeah. Life is but a dream.
Was it the dream or the dream within the dream? You know?
Exactly. Inception.
Yeah. So never a dull moment, you know?
Never a dull moment. And to just know that, like, for example, death is not even real, and to know that, you know, because we've been programmed to believe that death is like the end, and, you know, we have to do all this stuff to make it to heaven and do all this and do all that. Like, it's just been so much religious programming, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And personally, I've dealt with a lot of that in my life, so it really, like, affected me deeply, plus all the, you know, bloodline programming, which I'm still dealing with my family, but I just let them talk, you know? Because they just, I feel like, find like little ways to like say things to put me down. So it's just like, you know what, I see your programming, I see what's coming through you, I see that this is actually an entity provoking you to say that, to trigger me. I'm just going to let you be. Like,
exactly.
So, it's
that's
tough, but
that's the good thing about it, though. It helps you rise above the game, if you will, the chaos, and see things for what they are. And you're less likely to, respond or get triggered when you see behind the curtain and you see, oh, like they're trying to trigger me right now. I'm not going to let it happen. So
exactly, that's how they drain your energy. And you know what? I fell into that trap today over a discussion over vaccines and how they're trying to mandate them.
Yeah.
But I fell into that trap to kind of try to wake people up, and I wasn't like name calling anybody or calling anybody stupid or anything. Like I was just pointing out some facts and some facts from behind the curtain. And it's just like, once you start pointing out facts from behind the curtain, that's when the name calling really starts, and the whole, oh my gosh, you're so illogical, you're so mentally ill, like all that. And it's just like, I don't have time for this, man. Like, I'm trying to help you. It's okay. It's okay. It's really not my job anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same exact way. I don't, I just let people be with whatever if they're not receptive or whatever. There's plenty of people that are, so.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to let you go, Shane. I feel like I've taken up so much of your time already, and I'd love to hear other callers, too. I don't want to, take up your whole show.
Oh, no problem, Carolina. I appreciate you calling and checking in with us again.
Of course. I'm glad to be here, and keep on doing what you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Lots of love to you. You too. Bye. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to go back to the phone lines. 405 area code. Make sure you are unmuted there. 405, are you with us?
Hello?
Yep. Who am I talking to?
I heard the background, so I didn't. Am I talking to you, Shane? This is Carrie Camp.
Oh, hey, Carrie.
Oakley.
Yeah, how are you?
I called you using phone because of the problems I have with my phone,
Oh, you're calling from the computer phone then?
Nope, I couldn't get that to work either.
Oh, you couldn't?
That's one of my things I was going to share about is, I listened to Aluna, and she was also talking about how much device issues that us light workers deal with, and so does Sri, and I can't pronounce their names right. I would say it wrong.
Sri and Kira? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about device, and so that makes me feel better. I always think it's me not figuring out how to do something, but I have serious device issues like we had talked about before. But anyway, what I wanted to call and tell you about is I'm very excited. I've listened to Quantum Jumps and Reality Shifts, and I love Cynthia Sue Larson, and I would never have met her if you didn't have her on your talk show. And, when I hear you talking about you just being in the right place where you are right now, and all the connections that are falling your way help so many people. And I just get the biggest kick out of you and Michelle talking, because your conversations help me realize this ringing in my ears and this horrible headache I've had forever. But I can rise above it if I can focus on. That's why I'm so excited, Shane. I got Mind movies today, and Joe Dispenza, who wrote Evolving Your Brain, if you haven't been introduced to him, and he's who Cynthia Larson talks about. And then Susan Toro was on the Oneness show, and I got her book, Bare Naked Bliss. Oh, my God, it's great. But they all are also connected with the Three Amigos, which is Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and Bruce Lipton, which is trying to get the consciousness, awareness going on in the United States, because their audience is London and other countries that seem to be more in tune of this reality shift that we need to kick into a little faster. And you have a link to people like us, and I'm just excited every day.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive, and so much going on, and people are connecting, and it seems like the more we connect with one another, the more powerful we get, and the more the easier it is, it seems to keep your vibes
Thank
up, because
that's
yeah.
the word. It's easier to function because it's all the time before I connected even with you. And this is what was exciting to me. Is you're in Tulsa. Everyone else I've listened to is in other countries.
Yeah.
When I found out you were in Tulsa, and like I told you, I met you through Alex. And when you had him on your show, and it's like, wow, there's people in our country right here that are dealing with HAPFOF, which is highly sensitive people with ADHD, PTSD, and the fight or flight mode, which all of us have gone through trauma. We've had a spiritual awakening that says it is what it is. It's not acceptable because, oh my God, it's all behind the broken healthcare system, why people are in so much trauma. And this is from mental health to chiropractic, dental, every entity of our healthcare system that's governed by the money we've paid in all of our life. Excuse me for getting on a soapbox, but now that you're branded non-compliant, and they tag you and say you have untreated breast cancer, which blows me away when you're standing there alive when they said you would be dead if you didn't do chemotherapy. So anyway, I'm not going to go there very far because I am in so much closure. I've been able to say my piece by filing it was a request for information from the Department of Civil Rights. It was a federal inquiry and by being able to say, this is what the misunderstanding of our protective health information is what has everyone, my goodness, I mean, it's unbelievable how the healthcare industry does not understand what all that means, and what it's supposed to be about is your quality of care and communicating with the people you're supposed to be communicating with. But everybody guards it like it's their piece of information that, oh my God, nobody can have but them. Not even, anyway, that area of our lives is so much in need of people understanding and how to speak up for it. And I'm learning where all that is. So all that's good, and I can put it aside. And what's so cool is Michelle was talking about trying to learn how to do the piano. And I know in my heart that music is the answer to be able to do the quantum leap. And it is what it is as far as it's a mess, and everybody feels like there's no hope. But I believe there's hope. And you have to shift gears when you start feeling bad to say, oh, my word, how can I not feel that? Because our molecules of emotions is what makes the world go round. And being able to find a peace in your heart that it's not consuming you in a bad way, it's hard to do. Your talk show helps in so many ways, and I just want to say yay for you. And I'm so tickled that you are getting involved in the Oneness Talk Show and have more audience, more exposure, and also finding other folks that are on the same journey. So yay for you, Shane. Thank you.
No problem, Carrie. Let's, for those who didn't get to hear you call in before, or maybe just to remind them, you were diagnosed with cancer, and you were supposed to be dead, what, in December, was it?
Yeah, this is the funny part. December 16th, 2018 was my 2 years at the max, right? Now, here's the synchronicity, is that I come back after I go to Colorado. I'm there 7 months. I get attacked by the landlady over a weed killer, and this is where everyone, oh my gosh, you must read Silent Spring. Rachel Carson died of breast cancer, but this woman is the one who got the Environmental Protection Act way back in Kennedy's day. Now, that's how long ago she's trying to tell people weed killer is carcinogenic. Well, here today, my God, I went to Walmart to try to find organic weed killer, and they were clueless. They didn't even know what in the world I was talking about. It should be common knowledge. But I get sidetracked. That's my ADHD. But the point of that is so I moved back to Oklahoma because they voted yes for cannabis, and cannabis saved my life. And I get here, and we are in a very, very slow transition it doesn't have to be that way. With our technology, we should be more educated about, and it's just a matter, the education starts with the doctors, and they're not, because of the federal laws, and we have to give them a break because they're paycheck is governed by how they follow the rules. And I get all that. So I'm not trying to trash them. I'm trying to say education and awareness can change their attitude. There's too much proof that what their belief system was and how it got about. That's what right now the disclosure thing's all about. And I love David Wilcox for trying to keep us on that level of understanding that, yes, the Georgia Guidestones are probably very, very real as far as them saying all the elite, there's only supposed to be 500 billion or whatever those numbers were, that anything above that.
Half a billion, yeah.
Yeah, all my adventure, everyone I have come across says the words, well, it's a process of elimination. They don't care. It is what it is because that's the way they're supposed to be getting rid of overpopulation. And that's so sad to have that when we know there are resources. And that mentality is what people are programmed to believe, so that it stays in that lower density. So that's just my philosophy. But I understand it more and more because the shift is happening. It's very, very real. And that's why I loved about Aluna. She did a Taurus one, and I'm Taurus. And everything she talked about was legal issues and learning music and singing. And it was like, she's reading to me every time. But she talks about Saint Germain. And see, I never heard of him before I met your website. And I listened to all those things. And see, you know, I told you, I forget, I can't even remember where to go back. The PDST is so bad right now.
On the I Am Discourse? You're talking about the Saint Germain? Yeah, exactly. If you go to playlist on my channel for anybody who is interested into that, because that helped me not hit those really low lows that I was hitting before, is to just make those. And that's what really Cynthia Sue Larson had said about her proclamation. How good can it get? It's really that same idea, you know.
Exactly. And Saint Germain is like and how long ago he wrote that? It's like a instruction manual for light workers.
Yeah, it is. It's like 100 years old.
Yeah. That's what was such a kick about all this stuff. It's like, it's long ago written, but it's written for us today, right now.
Yeah, I was blown away at just besides some of the vocabulary words that we don't really use as much these days. I couldn't believe how much it fit with the times we're in. It's like, wow, this is like almost 100 years old. I think 1930 or something. It's really almost 100 years old, and it fits with today so much. It's incredible. I did want to mention, Carrie, that you decided not to take the chemo and the what's the other thing? The radiation.
Radiation, both poison.
Right.
You mean,
and the way the healthcare is set up, I want to mention this because if there's anybody out there that's going through the same issue, I think, you know, we're just trying to really connect the groups up so something can be done because it needs an overhaul. But if you decide not to take the chemo or the radiation and, you know, they give you basically a death sentence saying you've got a year or 2 years to live and you don't take that, then you're considered non-compliant because you didn't take the only treatment option that they give you. They don't allow you to do any kind of holistic approach. They don't allow you to do anything. And in your case, we see that it actually worked. But, you know, you're still coming back to these people and they're like, you're supposed to be dead. Why are you coming back here? How are you alive?
Well, instead of being happy for me, they have fired me. And they're insulted that I tried to share the hormone cure. My God, girls, you got to get that book. She is an integrative gynecologist, and she teaches about Charlie's Angels, cortisone, estrogen, and that other one, thyroid. And that breakdown, that's all about how your brain functions, your immune system, your nervous system, your ability to, and see, that's the last thing doctors check for. You have to ask for it. And then if you insult them, they'll fire you.
Yeah.
Every single one. And that's the part that there's scientific proof that says all of this other is true. But the doctors have to go by their AMA. And see, for them to write in my report as if they're reporting to the boss, I told her her autonomic behavior would lead to her certain death. Every single visit they say that to me. And then they say every time a spot would come up on my bones, oh, you probably have bone cancer. So I go for several months thinking it's bone cancer. Then they say, well, in fact, in Colorado, when I had the heart attack when the landlady did her fun thing, that Colorado Springs doctor found spots on my lungs. So for a month, they're telling me that it's spread to my lungs until I get the third PET scan, and it's free and clear, thank God. And when I get back and have they have a CTC, which is circulating tumor cell, that was 0, and that says that nothing's come out of this tumor. It's still there. It's in my armpit, but I haven't cut it out because even Suzanne Summers, she's a survivor, and she talks about she didn't do any cut and burn because the chances are higher scientific proof if you do cut on it, your chances of spreading it has increased. And my body and heart says that that's more true than those saying, oh, you got to cut out every chance, every bit that you can. But when they start cutting on it, in fact, the surgeon told me if she had cut on it, she would have cut a huge amount around it, just to make sure. Why would you do that in the lymph node system,
Yeah.
it's
April's
sad,
actually asking, what hormone book was it you were talking about?
It's Sarah Gottfried's The Hormone Cure.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you might want to type, maybe once we get done with the call, you can type it into the chat because I'm sure other people might want to at least check that out. That'd be cool. So where are you at now with this?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just asking where you're at now with this, with your whole, because your drive that you have is really inspiring. I just wanted to tell you that because not only the drive to survive and to defeat cancer, doing it your own way and all of that, but what's your next step with trying to get the word out?
Oh, my word. Thank you for asking. I have got to tell you, this part right now, and this is what everyone's talking about, we're in this portal. Well, when I read the book, Sarah Gottfried, and when I realized that, my cortisol test was done in 2016. It's in February. And at that time, my estrogen was off. And this was the endocrinologist. Let me mention names, Dr. Landergarten. And I wrote him a letter that said, this is unbalanced. Can you explain this to me? And he writes me back one-liner that says, I told you it was fine. I'll see you next year. I had breast cancer. Well, no one has done a follow-up from that in 2016. And when I read her book and realized that that is a key factor in your stress level, and I've been looking for my brain. I have a learning disorder since the stroke, and actually since the coma, that I've not been able to read and retain what I read on the computer. But I can write it. I can do everything I did before the stroke in 2000, or the coma in 2008. But after that, and all the medicines I was on, well, here's the kicker. Let me just say this. In 2014, the Dr. Sidney Williams, who was the pain management doctor, fired me cold turkey off of opioids and I was on 25 different medications. Well, that upset, I almost died from it. And it took me 5 months for a doctor to pick me up because he was such a quack in this area. But from that point, I believe all my medical records are still in his that said how many times I've had MRSA, I've had 7 corrective surgeries, I've had a total abdominal reconstruction. If those records were in all the other doctors' awareness, they would have had more concern. MRSA, oh my God, that could lead to cancer. I would have vancomycin drips for like 2 weeks at a time, at least 5 or 6 adventures during all those corrective surgeries because the mesh kept infecting from the abdominal reconstruction. But anyway, this doctor that she's the one, Kara Pence, who told me that she didn't have a problem with me having hope, but I was going to die of cancer. And then she's also the one that said she'd hold my hand and watch me die. She's never heard of anybody healing with nutrition. So when I get back to Oklahoma, I decide to ask her, would she please do these tests? Well, she has her office manager send me a letter that says, you didn't do what we recommended, so you need to find another doctor. So then she referred me back to Sidney Williams, the quack that fired me off of opioids. Well, that offended me. So I wrote the letter. I used to work at Stillwater Medical Center. I was a Medicare biller. And I wrote the CEO a letter that said, what rights do I have if I'm non-compliant? I really don't know. And here's what is so distressing is that I thought I was sharing information that people haven't had a chance to come across. But they're acting as if I've offended them. Instead of saying, new information, let's see. You're still alive, maybe I can help other people. That didn't come across whatsoever. It was, they referred me back to the doctor, who is the worst doctor in the world, and he doesn't even have hospital privileges. So I start looking for, what do I do? What does HIPAA mean? Because back to the original humongous issue is I had a stroke November 3rd. 2016, and I saw the neurologist November 28, 2016, and he tells me my office visit's 10 minutes, and I already talked 15, and he says, oh my God, I don't have a silver bullet to repair my migraines, because I'm like, what can I do for my migraines? They were so awful, and they scared me because it's the pain level right before my stroke. So from 2016, my next appointment's January. He cancels that one. Then my next appointment he reschedules for March, and I have all of my medical records from Integris, Dr. Boynstead, with me on the March visit, but he cancels and says I need a referral from because I had HMO at the time. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't need one. I called beforehand. So I call while I'm at the office. I said, do I need a referral? And they said, no, you don't. And I'm asking if I can. I had a 90% discount letter from the hospital, and they refer you to say, explain it to your doctor, and a lot of them honor it. Well, they wouldn't let me talk about it. So I had to discuss it. Well, these people were 3 feet behind me to tell my whole adventure. Got cancer, got a stroke, blah, blah, blah. And, anyway, well, the Blue Cross representative hears it. And so she files a complaint. I didn't know what all this meant. I didn't know who Kipro was. And the office manager lies on it and says I showed up 30 minutes late is why they turned me away. She perjured herself, and it was very sad. I'm sad for her, but it's his word against mine. So I never was able to stand up for myself. But when I found out, when I Googled what does all this mean, because I didn't know who Kepro was, I didn't know what a HIPAA complaint was. I've spent the last 2 years asking attorneys, can you help me fill this out? I don't know what to do. And I find out later, you can't sue for a HIPAA violation. It's not a suable violation. And so then up pops this federal request for information from the public, and it explains all of my mess. You got to read it. It's docket, whatever that docket is. I'll find it somewhere. Mm-hmm. But the docket explains exactly the communication barrier between all of the providers, and they call them clearinghouse. All these patient portal systems are all clearinghouses, and who governs all that regulatory stuff? And it's so misunderstood. Even, and I can vouch for this, Integris Hospital, who is supposed to be the elite in the world, doesn't understand how the information flows. And this experience is me trying to help Jeff. I get back here. Jeff has Hep C. He's got stage 4 liver cirrhosis and cancer. And we're dealing with teaching him all the things I've learned holistically. We got the Hep C turned around in a month, and we won't know how his cirrhosis is doing until April. But the medical manager, the office manager for medical records at Integris, did not know that the MRI was not going to show up on the patient portal system. It took us a week to try to track that down to see if Jeff had cancer or not. And when I'm talking to the portal office manager, they don't recognize power of attorney, the thing that you sign that's release of medical information. None of that was good enough for me to be an advocate for Jeff. And they're all misunderstood the whole thing. Anyway, that my experience of learning each and every entity and how they govern the medical release information and the HIPAA thing, most people think it's a privacy violation, but that's only half of it. The other half of it is the coordination of care for the patient. That's the part that's fallen in between everywhere, and all they're worried about is, I can't tell you that because I'm a governor over your piece of information. And that and Jeff, this is his first go around with trauma, he didn't understand any of it, and he wanted them to work through me, but they refused to do that. So I mean, they don't understand. Nobody does. The whole thing, our medical records are our information. And to get it from one doctor to the the deal in Colorado, I was really blessed to meet the chess group through the library, but most of those people were brain injury folks, and there's a brain injury support group. And their stories about their medical records not catching up to them, because a lot of those folks were cancer refugees as well. And they end up in this little crooked town of Rocky Ford, Colorado. And it's, sorry, I went that direction because it is. But the point of that is, even for me, I took my medical records with me, and they would not accept my medical records. They said there was some kind of law. They had to get them from the other agency, and all those people hate me. So for them to get the first doctor I tried to get to, it took a month, and they're still telling me, we don't have your medical records yet. And I'm like, I have mine with me. Would you please make a copy of these? So finally they saw me. But, I mean, it's crazy how all that should happen. Why can't it be just like your money is on your credit card, and that's valuable information? Why can't your medical records be on a card like that you carry with you that says, here's my serious situation? Because here's the other thing, is that they build all these patient portals by that piece of paper you filled out right before you go in, and you're supposed to remember all the trauma that you went through when you've had crazy stuff like a lot of us have, multiple issues. So the information is inaccurate in every portal. So my goal, if I can do nothing else in life, is to try to help find out what happens to us when we're tagged non-compliant and we still need tests done. I mean, where's the bridge? There has to be a bridge, a better one than that we have.
Yeah, even if it was something like they do with the schools, they got the school vouchers or whatever. So if you don't want to go with the public school system, then you get a voucher, since technically, you're paying into that. But I mean, you've got insurance. It should cover at least some of that treatment, even if it's a lesser amount, but they should do something for that. Have you tried contacting the ethics board? T. Taylor, who works in the field, made that suggestion. Board of Ethics.
Where's that?
Have you contacted the Board of Ethics?
I wanted to get everything completed in my pile. My file's not complete. It's very close. And when it does, I will have everything in hand that says here. What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
But and that's, I just can't help but believe I'm still here. I mean, like I said, I've gone through 22 near-death experiences, and if God didn't intend for me to make a difference, he would have excused me a long time ago. Because a couple of those were almost self-induced, but that was the trauma of losing a child. But the other is like crazy stuff. That's there's a spiritual warfare, and if I can stay focused on God, I know He's got a purpose at the end of all this mess. But I just want to say thank you so much for bringing this kind of stuff together, Shane, because I would not. I love the quantum jump and the reality shift. It's so perfect for this timing in what you all share and what I'm walking through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm honored to be a part of it and just trying to get the word out. April said, can Jeff sign a paper for Carrie to be an advocate? I guess I missed Jeff. Who's Jeff?
Oh, Jeff is my ex-husband that came to rescue me.
Oh, okay.
In Colorado. He's my roommate.
Okay.
And yes, we have that. We have a power of attorney. And you know, the attorney that I went and asked him, what does this mean? And because the Integra says it doesn't mean a thing unless Jeff is unconscious and dead, or almost dead, then I can step up and speak for him. But Stillwater Medical Center does acknowledge it as being an advocate, that they can speak to me about his information. And that was the purpose of it, is because even the dentist office is so bizarre. For them to have that protected, because we're not married when we have those two papers signed, is I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs a lot of overhaul, and it seems to me like they're just kind of screwing people around because they think they're going to be dead and not be around to give them any problems. So instead of dealing with it, they'll either say this is how it is and that's just how it is, or they just hope to give you the runaround until you're dead and you can't do anything about it. And then they can just carry on, you know, in their broke system.
Funny that you said that, because I think that's what the Rocky Ford Police Department is doing. They never filed charges against the woman who assaulted me. And the Otero County District Attorney's Office, I filed victims' compensation because I had over $50,000 in bills, and they can't pursue it. They have sent me back a denial saying that there's not any charges filed. And so I've been reaching out to the district attorney general, and they tell me, oh, here's a couple phone numbers and a website. Go figure out who to ask. But I was going through my papers, organizing stuff, and I came across the letter from Otero County, and I have until March 3rd to reapply for my bills to be paid. And I asked them, I said, does that mean, what if charges aren't filed yet? And how can I don't even know who to contact to say, who governs the Rocky Ford Police Department? Why aren't they filing charges? I don't know how to make that happen. And why the district attorney's office can't step forward and say that office is not doing their job, because I have all the evidence that the crime was committed. So
you used to actually work in law enforcement, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah.
And that's why I know what's happening is very wrong. But you know what? I listen to Greg Braden and all them, and they say about turning the other cheek and don't focus on the bad and yada, yada. But then you think, okay, well, if I don't do something, this woman is going to continually hurt other people that way. How can I? And also the fact that they don't understand weed killer, the awareness that needs to be about that is, you know, where do I stop? How much on my plate can I handle? What am I supposed to do with my information? I don't know. This is where I'm like asking for God's guidance continuously. What purpose am I still here for? I don't get it.
And another thing I think people should know is that the things you said the doctors were saying to you, many of those things you actually have on recording. You have a recording of them saying those things. What are some of those things?
Oh, the part about your office visit's 10 minutes and you already talked 15, and I don't have a magic bullet. And, the best part is that my very first visit, that Dr. Flynn tells me she's never heard of anybody beating cancer through nutrition. And she explains that I had the 1 year, maybe 2, but I would die a miserable death drowning in my own body fluid. So when Pearl Effusion showed up on my x-rays, and that's liquid around your lungs, I started thinking, oh my gosh, are they right? And then I just persevered and had more tests, and I follow an HGC test. Dr. Navarro, you must email that folks who worry about cancer. It's a home test that you can do for $55, and it's a urine test, and you mail it off to the Philippines, and it will tell you your cancer score. Everyone has cancer cells. They're 50 and below is considered normal. 50 and above means your body's in distress with cancer cells. And that's your time to say, oh, my God, I need to figure out what is the toxins in my life, which could be environment, emotional, most likely food, because our people don't understand what the non-GMO thing is about. Those are genetically modified seeds that are not out there to or feed the world as the general consensus of creating that, but it alters our food, and it's not a good thing for our nervous system, just like the fluoride and everything else in our body. But cancer is about learning the toxins in your body, and a lot of the toxins are emotional. And another book that is priceless is Parental Alienation. The emotions involved when a parent and a child are separated from love damages the nervous system, something spirit, and feeding all the other toxins involved. But, you know, our mental health system is the most broken of everything, and just learning nutrition and learning how to process molecules of emotions and identifying when people separate, just because mom and dad does, the jealousy and all the anger that excrudes to our children and their little lives being all the things that go. Jealousy is probably one of the worst evil spirits in the world, and it makes people do horrible things, and it ruins love. And the love thing is what makes life be creative and fun. And it's sad for little kids that are separated from parents, and that right there causes disease set up in the children and the parents. And learning to identify that and work through the fact that, you know, people that fall in love and get married, they grow differently, and that's okay, and you can separate without it being a sided adventure. You have to take sides. Who says that? You have shared parenting, and you go on with your life. My goodness. It's sad.
That's totally true.
That book, it is. That's one of the hardest hit things in our life is what happens when people separate and destroy love, and it filters down to the children.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I can go on and on about all this, and my whole mission is to try to make a difference on what rights do we have if we're non-compliant, and how to, you know, I've reached out to all the cancer crusaders and asked the same question, and I understand that the response is, well, they don't respond. They don't know what to say. Nobody does. My ADD and PTSD and fight or flight, I talk 90 miles an hour, and I say, yeah, I've read over 200, I think I'm up to 300 books now since my, actually, 2010 I got a smartphone, and before that, I was in coma world, dementia bad. All I had was a little flip phone that, you know, if you ran out of gas or something, just an emergency phone, and I didn't even know about technology. So imagine going back to 2008 when I was real computer illiterate, and then being in a coma for 10 years, and then waking up to all the different stuff that's graduated. I listened to all the books about computer worlds and learned about Steve Jobs and all that. I didn't understand what Android and iPhone and all that, and I still have a hard time with it all, but the whole world about that was a fast spin. But I was in a coma during all that time. So coming out of it and being introduced to all this stuff, it's why that my brain gets overwhelmed. I look at the computer and I'm good right after I sleep a little bit, and then I can figure something out. But then as soon as I go away from it, it's gone. It erases. I don't retain.
And that kind of gets into another thing that we want to get out there. The movie The Root Cause you were telling me about. You can watch it on Netflix. Oh, yeah. Why don't we talk to people about that, because that's huge.
Yeah. That is huge. And another wonderful person is Jerry Tennant, Dr. Jerry Tennant. And he introduced me to Dr. Colpit, who's in Tulsa. Thank God, wonderful, wonderful. And I have an appointment April 9th to get my root canals removed and the mercury. I learned that when you chew and you have mercury, every chew that you chew releases those toxins that keep your nervous system and your brain. And see, I think, here's the funny thing. I had a partial messed up root canal in 2008. It was partially being done because I was supposed to go in for an outpatient surgery, my fundoplasty, but that's when they cut my stomach and killed me, and I was in the hospital 3 months. But they started a root canal before that and weren't able to finish it, and that's in 2008. And then when I finally, in 2010, was able to get dental insurance and go to the dentist, my teeth were so bad I couldn't chew, and I couldn't figure out where the pain was coming from. And I thought at that point I was going to have all my teeth removed because I had been on vancomycin, I had been on tons of medicine for a long time. So my teeth pain was huge. I couldn't even figure out what was going on in there. Well, I had another 2 root canals after that, and that was in 2014. And then I get cancer in 2016. So with a combination of all that, and see, I haven't been able to get the cancer beat, but it hasn't beat me. I'm dog paddling. Actually, it's shrinking, so I am getting better. But I think it would get completely better if I had all the toxins out of my mouth.
Yeah,
so definitely it's Root Cause on Netflix, and the truth. Wait, let me get this other one. Toxic Teeth. That is a must. And the other thing is that this Dr. Levy, Levy, he's in Arkansas. I believe it's Arkansas. He's close. He's a holistic clinic that has tons of wonderful information. In fact, Dr. Colpit gave me Dr. Levy's book to review. Is that Dr. Levy? Yeah. That tells about all of this very thing, about the vitamin C, the crucial effects and that it does for cancer, and iodine and all the other things. Supplements are another issue that you can't just go to Walmart and buy what's on them. You will have to research where it's from. Supplements are just as much of an area of what's the word to say? You just really have to watch what you buy, or you're wasting your money. How to say all that nicely? You need to get the right thing, or else you're just wasting, like I said, your money. But I hope very soon, after I have closure of getting the CarePro complaint finished, and I'm very close to that, I feel that I can set that. I've given that to God, and then I want to focus on C5 for Change, which is Cancer and Cannabis Christian Communication for Change, just to be a resource to say, here's what I found out. And cancer is a journey. It's a personal journey. Not everything works for everybody. It's as different as our DNA. But to find that there's resources out there to see what resonates with you. I mean, your body is going to say, hey, I think I need that. Or you've got to step above the fear, because you're going to get browbeat by every family member, every doctor that tells you should. You got to cut, burn, poison, or you're going to die. It's not true.
So April was saying we need to do, I think it was April saying that you need to do a video, and we're actually talking about trying to present this in a way that can get the word out, kind of sum it up. And so we are in the process of, Carrie and I are working on something for the future. Somebody else is mentioning, have you tried an investigative reporter by any chance?
Well, I almost went to Channel 2 Works for You the other day when I went to see Dr. Colpit, but it's that shy thing that I haven't found my voice to. And this is the bravest I've been right now, because if I hadn't have gotten those things together and didn't have hope and understand that they do know, the federal government knows how messed up HIPAA has made our lives, and they want to fix it, I have hope now. And I'm like, hey, I got a case so I can show you how your interpretation of that useful tool, that whoever created it, my goodness, what was the intention? Who knows? Nobody knows anymore what the intention of it was. It's just so out of sort. But
definitely.
Yes, I probably got off.
Oh no, I think with us putting together some kind of summary video, I think that'll make it easier to approach somebody like that, because then you can just give them the link, and instead of having to try to spit it all out, because it's a lot to try to take in. But we need to present the problem and at least some kind of proposed solution or something, and try to sum it up. And then you've got all these documents and everything. So anybody that wants to dive in deeper into it, and then the audio recordings is another one that can be huge, because and another question, I don't know, did you get the email about HIPAA that I sent you?
About what?
About HIPAA, the spelling of it, or the acronym?
No.
Oh, okay. So many people remember HIPAA being HIPPA, but it's actually HIPAA now, and it appears to have always been that way. Now, I don't know how many of these HIPAA forms I've had to sign with all of my kids and everything over the years.
Oh, a million of them. I can take it way back to whatever, because it's HIPPA.
Yeah, no, you look it up. It's freaky. It's a Mandela effect. You look it up, and it's always been HIPAA now. And I'm like, no way. I remember signing these things.
It means, you know what it means? It's autonomic Annie.
That's awesome. Yeah, but it's presented like it's for you, but it's really for them, isn't it? I mean, they try to make it like it's protecting you, but now you find out it's protecting them.
It's protecting the doctor. I mean, where in it is it? Where? And nowhere is it. Does it talk about the welfare of the patient?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I do feel very like I'm manipulated, but thank you for the opportunity. Can I tell you something real quick, though? I got to tell you this.
Yeah, there's nobody. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Nobody. Okay, cool. That my aunt that passed away on my birthday, her birthday was February 18th. And what's funny is Aluna Ash was talking about our past and our deceased loved ones and communicating with them. And see, when my aunt passed, I was the one, because I stayed with her the last 3 months of her life. She was a 14-year liver transplant survivor, and she always was fretting about her hair and her fingernails, and I always would do her nails, and then they would took one of the fingernail polishes off while they were doing that test and all that. So when she passed, shocking to me, I never thought I could be able to do this sort of thing, but I fixed her hair and I did her fingernails. And this aunt is just, it's like she's with me all the time, because my family members, my flesh members, they don't speak to me. But back to her. Well, this is strange son I have that I haven't seen. I have a 16-year-old granddaughter I've never met. And my son, I'm just going to tell you like it is, at age 9, he tried to commit suicide by hanging at school. We had gone through 4 years of a custody battle, and it was my ex-husband. We were both police officers, but he would wear his uniform to court and get whatever he wanted, and it really messed with my little boy's mind. And so at 9 years old, I gave up parental rights. Well, I couldn't see him for 2 years, but when he was 11, they made him ask me to give him up, because it took a 2-year court battle that they kept him from me from the time he tried to hang himself until he asked me to let Susie adopt him, his new mother. I'm telling you that because that's a parental alienation thing. My son was so devastated. When he thinks of me, I know his heart thinks of all the trauma he went through. He's not able to communicate with me yet. And my heart's working on him. I know he'll change. But he's fixing to have his second child in March. And his wife has reached out to me, bless her heart, and has spoken to me. But I've wrote letters to my son, but he's still not able to read them. This was hard for him, and I don't blame him on all of this. He was 9. He didn't understand. But anyway, I'm about to have a second grandchild. So I saw on Facebook their baby shower, and in behind is all the baby pictures I sent to him. And I was so tickled to see that. And so in that, when, well, actually, when I went and I met the Soul Sisters in Enid when I fell December 16th and cracked my tailbone. The only dispensary I knew at that time was in Enid. So we traveled through this cowboy mall, and I stopped there, and they had these cute little cowboy boots that had little angel wings on them and a cross on the toe. And I saw those, and I said, oh, God, I would love to get those for my granddaughter. But, we're estranged. I didn't have any connections. So I saw the baby shower. And yesterday, I went out there to that, and this is 10 miles away from my house, and I bought these little cowboy boots because they have little angel wings on them. And I come home. Now, I haven't discussed any of this with Jeff because this is a personal part of my life I don't talk about. And I have been working on a package to send my oldest granddaughter is 16 years old, and I've never met her. And I've been working on some things that were my grandmother's and some stuff I want to send her. And so I get back, and I didn't say a thing to Jeff about the cowboy boots. And he tells me, well, I'm in a use or lose, and I've got to take some vacation time or I'm going to lose it. And I'm thinking about in the middle of March going to Texas. And now Joey lives in Austin, Texas, my son. And my heart just lit up like a crazy person. And I thought to myself, oh, my God, I know Beth would let me see that baby. That's his mama. And this all, the synchronicity of me buying the boots and him mentioning that, and the baby's going to be born in March. I'm just declaring God's going to let me meet that baby.
Yeah, trust it. Manifest it. You can do it.
That's why I wanted to go to Austin so bad when you all went to Austin in January. But Jeff was right in the middle of full extraction. There's no way I could do that. But I know in my heart that my son, he's a neat guy. He's a musician, and but his heart's not ready to meet his mom yet.
Well, we got to meet you in Tulsa, so twice now. So you're connected. I think of it like the crystals, because Megan brought us those crystals in Austin, and she had paired them up with the ones that went to all these sacred sites, and I was like, you know what? It's like we're all crystals, and as we go to these different meetups everywhere, it's like even if you can't make it to one of them, you bring the energy of the group there. So I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I'm just tickled pink to be part of it. That's for sure.
And somebody said to me recently, they were like, I just don't like meetups. I'm like, none of us do. That's what's so different about this thing. You don't leave feeling drained like you will at like a family reunion or something. It's like completely different. Yeah. Normally, I just like to stay at home and not join in anything like this. But these have been awesome. Even leading up to them, I'm kind of hesitant or whatever. But once I get there, I'm like, wow, this is really great to meet with all these like-minded people and make these connections. So I haven't been disappointed yet with any of these. So I'm going to continue to do these, and we can.
That was so sweet at the Tulsa one, because usually, I'm right at the door ready to go, but I was the last person to leave, and Karen was so sweet, and we just chit-chatted about the whole thing, and it was really everyone. It was fun to meet the different personalities that are behind the light worker awareness journey.
Yeah, Jeff is lucky to have you. She's April's saying. Yeah, and they don't even know half the story of how much you help. And that's another thing that we were talking about in person is how, the way the healthcare system, I think it was the dentist, where they won't let you in there for a lot of the stuff when the person needs you there to help remember things and stuff. It's totally set up for failure,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jeff was like, I just have to say this because I didn't even think about the reincarnation thing until David Wilcox was talking about reincarnation from Edgar Cayce. And the whole thing on reincarnation, I haven't wrapped my brain completely around it, but I do believe that DNA thing about we're all DNA sand pebbles from everybody. I think I even have Moses DNA in me, but in that part. But when the Annie Oakley thing that I have to share the Annie Oakley story, is that
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a police officer, and I could shoot a smiley face with a shotgun on my silhouette. And that's where my Gmail address came in, Annie Oakley. So
Mm-hmm.
when this assault occurred and I was going to college, they recommended a GoFundMe account, which I couldn't figure out how to do. But my little slogan, that's where GoFundMe, the part about Annie Oakley 5 is still alive, came in. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like more and more an adamant thing of how dare them say I'm supposed to be dead and I'm still alive. But ADD there. But what I'm getting at is that Jeff looks just like Buffalo Bill. And if anybody, he's been reincarnated as Buffalo Bill. And the whole thing that Greg Braden and all of them talk about is becoming an avatar. And that's where Jeff's avatar is Buffalo Bill and I'm Annie Oakley. And that's to make life fun and to make it, I mean, my gosh, we have to create our own reality. And that's why I love the thing about reality shifts, is that I could have the mindset of being a victim. But, you know, Annie Oakley, The Trials of Annie Oakley is the best book in the whole world. You guys got to read that, because that woman, and I love women who've made a difference. And just like I have to say Candace Pierce, or if I said that wrong, Candace Penn. No, what's the one with the Molecules of Emotion? She's my favorite, this other lady. But back to Annie Oakley, she wrote letters, and she wrote letters to the president to try to get women in the Army. And that's why when I read her story, she got married at 16, so did I. She loved children, so did I. She didn't have any, but I got all mine taken away. But all her money she gave to orphanages. She was so honored by queens and all the other countries. She was greeted wonderfully. I'm not her caliber of person, but my desire to change the world. Her impact, because she was fraudulently wrote up in the newspaper of being a cocaine lady. Some hooker got arrested and said she was Annie Oakley, and the newspaper picked it up and spread all kinds of stuff about her. And she spent the rest of her life correcting that wrong. And she sued all the newspapers, and it got turned around, and she got justice of it, but it was a very expensive adventure for her. But the other thing about Annie is that she was in a train wreck and had severe back problems, and I have a horrible back issue going on. But so much of our life is parallel. It's just unbelievable. But
that's exactly why I didn't know who Jeff was, because I know him as Buffalo Bill. I'm like, wait, who's Jeff? I'm like, you always referred to him as Buffalo Bill for me, so it was like, that's it. I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know who Jeff is. My brother's name is Jeff, so.
Oh, yeah, that's, well, you know, one of these days I'm going to get pictures up, and it says who, because there's pictures of Buffalo Bill with his saddle, and then Jeff, that's his treasures, his pictures with his saddle, and there's so many pictures that I have that we've looked up, and they're just like Buffalo Bill pictures. Anyway, it's a hoot, and you have to have fun with it, or you live in another world.
April's asking, how did Jeff save you? What did he do to save you? Was it when you were going through your stroke and all that?
Oh, he spent his vacation and his vacation money to come and get me in Colorado and brought me back here to Oklahoma. And
yeah, that's big.
Yeah, it's real big. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we'll continue to bring this together, and things happen, and I'm glad you're still around to fight the good fight, Carrie. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and best to you on everything. I'm just so tickled for you, and we'll visit soon.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, I need you to call me and practice on my phone thing. I've never been able to figure it out since you plugged it in. So I'm sorry. I need. But the other thing is that I know I need to go to AT&T and address my phone, but that's such a conflict. I just can't do it right now because it's hard for me to explain. I think it's me. My frequency doesn't work with my phone. But
well, we can just try it on we'll get it going on a regular phone call or something. That's no problem at all. We'll figure it out, though. That way, when you go to send your phone in, you'll have something to use in the meantime.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you're coming.
okay, thank
You're
you.
sounding great this time. I didn't have any problem hearing you
Well,
whatsoever.
I'm on a deaf phone. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's great. You're coming through perfectly.
So it is my phone. That's the point. It is my phone.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. I'll be talking to you for
Thank
sure.
you.
Lots of love to you.
Best to everybody.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 1 second, we'll go back to the phone lines.
Let's go.
Call in now and share your oneness experience with the world on Oneness Talk Radio. To call into the show, dial 605-562-0444. That's 605-562-0444. Enter show ID 1477973. That's 1477973. For international phone numbers, go to onenesstalkradio.com and click Unbiased and On the Fence under the Live Shows tab at the top.
Your calls, your stories, on air.
You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream on Oneness Talk Radio. Awesome. I'm going to go back to the phone lines. Rapport, are you there?
Yeah.
How are you doing this week, buddy?
I think I'm here. I think I am.
Now, I got a good one. I got a good one for you this week, Rapport, because they're talking about this one in the chat. And when I saw pictures of this, I was like, what the heck? Because I've never been to Grand Central Station. But of course, you know, it's like one of those things, your phone's ringing off the hook. You're like, what is it, Grand Central Station today or something? And, you know, everybody knows Grand Central Station, right? Is that what you remember? Are you there, Rapport? I think you're coming through now. I think you had a bad connection. Are you there, Rapport? No? No?
Hang on. Hold on here.
Oh, okay.
I got mixer issues. I don't want to dump a echo on you.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're sounding good now.
I think I'm configured now. Yeah. Grand Central. What used to be? Well, there was Rockefeller. There was Union.
But you remember Grand Central Station, right?
Well, no, it was some kind of center. That's where they used to have the big boxing matches and stuff, right next to the train station.
Right, well, we're talking about the train station itself. Do you remember it as Grand Central Station or Grand Central Terminal?
Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe Grand Central Station, something like that. Yeah, I think that's what everybody kind of called it.
Yeah, that's what I remember for sure.
What is it? What is it now?
Apparently, it's always been Grand Central Terminal.
Oh, yeah.
And the funny thing is, you know, you can look up any kind of official pictures. It's all Grand Central Terminal. But as soon as you get on and you find people that's reproduced like your own sign that you can hang up in your own house, and it's a Grand Central Station sign, it still says Grand Central Station. So it's pretty funny that you know these people would be out there selling these signs for Grand Central Station when it's actually called Grand Central Terminal. That's just the weird one.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, yeah, that whole science of creating cognitive dissonance is amazing.
Yeah. So what's on your mind tonight, Rapport?
Oh, I tuned in about, I don't know, I guess halfway through that interview with that amazing lady. And she really is. She had quite an amazing story.
Yeah, I've got to meet her a few times in person, and she's equally as amazing in person, and really has a really inspiring drive to not only survive cancer, which she's done. You know, now she's she's passed up the maximum of what they said she'd live, but she's also determined. I mean, if you look at all the records she has and everything, it's amazing. So
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, people who live miracle-filled lives fascinate me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and we see it all the time, and I think that's one of the things with the power of our intention. They kind of use that against us because they tell you, well, you only got this long to live, and then you feel, well, they must be right. They're the doctor, and then, you don't expect to live beyond that, and it's almost like you create that reality for yourself,
Yeah. Well, how many amazing miracles did she recant there in just a few minutes? Let's see if we can count. She was in a coma for 10 years.
I don't think it was. Well, was it 10 whole years? Carrie, chime in. Was it 10 years? I didn't think it was that long. But yeah, she fell and she had a bunch of stuff.
And she was a police officer, her and her husband.
Yeah. And that in and of itself is a danger, And
she produced a smiling face with a shotgun load pattern.
Yeah.
What other miracles did this woman experience? I mean, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever notice that too? Some people just seem to have a divine hand of protection and survival in their life.
Yeah. Well,
bulletproof.
I think they've got an agenda. I don't know how divine it is, but we're all out there grubbing for the Yankee dollar, and so. What one person's business is definitely not another person's business unless their business conflicts with my business.
Oh, it was for 3 weeks, 10 years ago. That's what it was. Okay. The coma.
Oh, yeah.
20,
yeah.
And then don't forget the 22 near-death experiences. Like, oh my God,
sure.
That's wild.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I can be one sarcastic SOB,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guilty as charged.
Right.
What is that popular term? Some foreign language term for mea culpa? Yeah, mea culpa. But I think as long as we keep our money in our pocket and our tongues in our cheeks, these people, are, a part of the everyday human experience, and they in fact do. I think many of them actually have developed quite a personal blind faith belief system that is serving them well in life. But I'll tell you what fascinates me is how infectious this particular condition is. This. I mean, look at these charismatic preachers out there who are just raking in millions and millions and millions, basically doing the same thing, but on a much more professional level.
Mm-hmm.
That's this is. I mean, it's unfortunate the people that are not naturally born with that indwelling talent of charisma and the ability to make people believe,
mm-hmm.
Get in their sphere of influence, and this gets into hypnosis and suggestion,
mm-hmm.
and the power, the absolute power that some people just naturally wield on their fellow human beings. Catch anybody in a moment of weakness and bam, they're your meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole dog eat dog world thing going on.
Oh, absolutely. And now I think there's a massively, rapidly, geometrically growing population of humanity that is absolutely swearing up and down that this effect has been captured and duplicated technologically,
mm-hmm.
and that in and of itself is just, you know, I stand in awe at the pure genius of humanity that can create such a thing, you know, and make people actually produce that little trigger of cognitive dissonance that pushes them into the oh my God, you know, I either have to believe this or not trust my mind anymore, you know.
Yeah.
What a fait accompli. I mean, out there when targeting, you know, the kill, you know, that's what the sales people call it. You know, you're not out there making a sale, you're making a kill.
Yeah.
And any sort of human empathy that you apply to the situation, well, depending on what you're selling, you know, is detrimental. You know, you gotta put the empathy aside and accept the greater reality that it is, in fact, a dog eat dog world, and therefore, you know, if you want to go out there and make your bones, if you want to, you know, grind the bones into your bread, and of course that is the, you know, there is no gluten in bone meal bread.
And that's the thing. That's why you see at the top of, you know, you see CEOs and they seem to be psychopaths and stuff, because to get that far up on the rungs, the people become the rungs towards the top, you know, and you're climbing them.
Well, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
That a total lack of empathy, you know, is what puts a human being at the very top of the pyramid with that great all-seeing eye. You know, I mean, wouldn't you like to step up there just once in your life and take in the view? I would. Yeah. I sure would. Yeah. You know, I mean, that'd be worth a soul. You know, it'd be, you know, well, yeah, you know, well, it'll cost you your soul, you know, to do that. And that's, well, hell, okay, here, you know, I'm pretty old, you know, I pretty much used this soul up, and you know, its value, whatever remaining value it has, you know, sure, here, take it, please. I want to get up there. I want to, you know, those little those binoculars that you drop a nickel in.
Right,
you know,
right.
You get up to, yeah. I mean, hell, you know, take my soul, please. Probably isn't even worth a nickel anymore, anyway. You know, here, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I often think of how things, you know, you when you think about inventions and things like that, everything's so tightly kept that, you know, what do you call it? Just secrets and inventions and things like that. And everybody everyone wants to capitalize on what they create, so they don't want anybody else to put it out first. So there's all this secrecy, and because of that, you'll see like the new phone will come out, people will complain or they'll offer their suggestions to make it better, and it will get better over time. But if it had been more open source, like you see a lot of these programs now that are free, and it's like community built by people that work in the industry, a lot of times it's their day job to work for one of the name brand places, and then in their free time, they donate their time basically to create this program that does basically the same thing, if not better. And you can really see how working together would be so much better than everybody trying to hoard everything. And I think it all has to do with the money, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, climb up to I think we can all imagine, you know, we all have an imagination. And I one of the my favorite exercises when I'm doing that out of body thing where the imagination becomes so fascinating, I just lose track of who and what and where I am, you know.
Right.
the to ascend that pyramid, like I said, and look at it from this, the psychopathy side of things, that tiny, teeny, tiny little percentage of humanity that is so critical within the overall equation, and it is the symbiosis of it all. And knowledge is certainly power. And capitalization of knowledge, is a primary consideration. But my God, can you imagine if the monkeys got a hold of some of the stuff they got in their garage? Just think of it for a minute. Can you say suicide, extinction, end the game? The last zombie standing turn the lights out on planet Earth as they leave.
Yeah. So how do you see things changing around? How do you see things going, Rapport?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we live in an incredibly dynamic universe. The entropic cycle is inviolate. It's natural law. You can deny it exists for sure, but the universal constant is a proven negative. So energy, that sort of thing. We live in a constant state of change, and this incredibly chaotic universe bombards us with input. I mean, don't you remember, that time when it all started, sinking into your mind once you had escaped the womb and wished to hell you could go back, this barrage of input, who wouldn't scream? I screamed, like, holy shit,
right.
turn it off, once we're, condemned, to this marvelous sentient experience, then it falls upon each of us to find some way to frickin' deal with it, to slowly but surely start blocking out what doesn't work and opening up, what gets us access to that tit, and definitely, mama's face and papa's face and just some minimal reassurances, that we are not trapped in hell, even though the overall equation says otherwise. But yeah.
Hey, stand by with me for a second, Rapport. I got a hard break coming up. I think they finally got it fixed, and I'll be right back with you.
Let's go.
Call in now and share your oneness experience with the world on Oneness Talk Radio. To call into the show, dial 605-562-0444. That's 605-562-0444. Enter show ID 147-7973. That's 147-7973. For international phone numbers, go to onenesstalkradio.com and click Unbiased and On the Fence under the Live Shows tab at the top.
Your calls, your stories, on air.
You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream on Oneness Talk Radio. Friday Night Love Stream on Oneness Talk Radio. All right, I thought it would connect up, but it didn't. It said I was connected and it was going live, but it didn't. So we have some bugs to work out. Let's go back to Rapport on the phone lines. So you see the world moving into more of a state of entropy then, rather than change, or do you see a reversal?
Well, no, actually, we're still in the inflation era of the life of the universe. Well, it's only just a few trillion years old, but yeah, eventually, and this is as a result of our observations from these tremendous instruments we've been able to, put out into space, and start exploring the backyard a little further. So yeah, and my God, you talk about input. The input that has been gathered is going to be mental manna for decades and decades, unless, of course, the powers that be decide to wipe the slate clean and drive humanity back towards the Stone Age for a while. A little timeout, a little, when the kids become unruly. So, anyway, I don't believe that I'm spewing too much theory, as far as unproven theory. I try to stick to the proven stuff. I can show you, if you're willing to look, you can see the proof for yourself. That side of things.
Well, you often cite the physicist on the Oxford campus, is it? What's his name again?
Oh yeah, Julian Barber. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I sat on his proverbial knee, and yeah, he opened my eyes to many things, the greater reality, and basically, that was when you go to the giants and ask for truth, they'll sure give it to you, but then it's up to you to deal with it, to somehow or other package that totally shattered worldview into something usable. But yeah, he shattered my worldview, and yeah, I got to say, it took me a while to get my marbles back in one sack, and but even so. On the other side of things, all I basically was after was the truth, and the truth is probably the most terrifying thing a sentient being can ask for. Like I said, who wants to go back to that instant, when you escape the womb and all of those systems suddenly come alive. Talk about trauma. Holy cow. So we all have to learn how to deal with trauma. Right from the jump, and how well we deal with it. I think, looking back on my traumatic life and all of my tales of woe that kept me sucking my thumb and blaming everything except elemental stupidity, which is the bottom line on all of my equations. It's my God, how could I be so stupid and self-indulgent and egocentric? It's it's a disease, but it's a good disease. It's that safe harbor, that marvelous place where we can always go back and sit and get out the crayons and the coloring books and pet puppies and feel as though the big bad world, at least for a while, until somebody gets sick of it, kicks the door in and says, go clean your room.
Well, don't you think moving away from the whole victim mentality is really a huge step into turning those types of situations into wonderful learning experiences, you know?
Well, yeah, but there again, you know, we're each born with our own particular indwelling strengths and weaknesses, and certainly, you know, pointing the finger of judgment in any direction. Yeah, you know, what good does it do? You know, I mean, you know, really honestly, I mean, being all judgmental and saying, you know, this and that and the other, and look at me, I climbed up to the top of the hill, you know, and I'm standing here beating my chest with my fists and declaring, you know, I have won the game. Well, yeah, if you're looking for a lightning bolt, there you go. That's the way to do it. You know, be the highest thing, the closest conductor to the energy coming down from the clouds. You know, the wrath of God.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
have you had a background in religion at all? I can't remember if we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Raised that way?
Yeah. I was sort of raised in that that very you know, draconian dominant male type scenario, you know, where you know, and of course that I don't even condemn that, you know, that part of the psyche remains with me. Mm-hmm. And I do treasure it, as you know, as a matter of dealing with rather insane people who want to save my soul, you know, or stick a gun in my face and ask what's in your wallet.
Right.
So, you know, that particular manifestation of personality, you know, it's a pretty dang handy tool to have, you know, in particular situations where, you know, you can pull it up. But as far as I mean, mundane definition, yeah, very, very fundamentalist Christian, very you know, that generation that came up out of the Great Economic Depression in World War II, you know, who that was taught the meaning of survival and given the basic crash course, how-to crash course, But and then from there, but I was my parents were never you know, what you could call true believers. You know, I was raised to, you know, question everything and then draw my own conclusions, which were invariably false. But my parents might suggest that I look again, but at that phase of life, I had all the answers. I didn't need any more answers. You know, I was ready to get out there and you know, hook up with Susie Cream Cheese and you know, start saving up for Harley and you know, do all those important things, all those, you know, important things that every young man to one degree or another, you know, has in mind.
Yeah, that's funny. That my wife said that about my son. She goes, it's a shame he doesn't play with toys anymore. Like, he still plays with toys. Guys never give up toys. They just change the toy that they play with into something else, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the more dangerous the toy, you know, the more fascinating it is.
That is so very true.
Especially if it has two legs and a, you know, nice, beautiful head of hair and a big toothy smile and a wiggle in the walk and a giggle in the talk, and those toys are the best. but talk about dangerous, oh my God. Because she's going to take all your toys in the end.
Yeah, I think it I think it was the comedian Bill Burr was talking about being out in the lagoon and just clinging to one last item and say, "Hey guys, I still like sports. Give me those season tickets," and just been stripped of everything. But I don't think it has to be that way if you find the right person,
No. I just have always been probably the greatest example of poor judgment that I could possibly be. It took me a long time to start thinking maybe I ought to give that up. Time to get the old bucket out and start making my list.
Yeah. Well, what do you got on your list? What do you got left? What's your big items? Anything like skydiving or Vegas or anything like that?
Oh, hell no. Been there, done that. I just, well, this is what I'm doing. Right now I'm on a permanent summer vacation. School is out for me, at least for now, until another catastrophe comes along and forces me to try to find the means to subsist. But truth. I'm addicted to truth. I confess. Hi.
Well, you're in the right crowd.
My name is Rapport. I am a truth addict.
Yeah.
Truthaholics Anonymous or Unanimous or whatever that is.
Well, let me ask you this: Have you always been that way? With just been a truth seeker lifelong, or is that something that's come about later in life for you?
I think I was born with an insatiable sense of curiosity, which is no fait accompli. I think that's pretty much, in the original programming, in the kernel, of our physical makeup. It's what makes that marvelous organic differential engine between our ears go round and round and round.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my career. I actually started out, I had kind of a lumpy, bumpy start.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was really blessed by the opportunity to go to war and try to be a hero, which I had always dreamed of being. I always wanted to be a hero of the land. And so I did. And but one thing the Navy offered was a school, and I went and I took all of those aptitude tests and everything, and I ended up in the nuclear program. But I wasn't really happy with the nuclear program. I had a kind of a bad experience, and the nuclear program is all volunteer, and so I ended up the base commander's door is always open to students. You don't even have to make an appointment. You just go up there and you tell the guy, I want to talk to the boss, and then you can go right in. And my partner, you're assigned, you choose these partners, study partners, and so on that are pretty much with you throughout the program.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner and I both went in together and asked to be released from the program.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were. Yeah, who my partner was. I guess you'd have to kind of grow up in the Northwest. My partner was Mick Lillibridge,
mm-hmm.
and here in the Northwest, Lillibridge Jewelers were, a mainstay advertisement. And old Mick, he was one sharp cookie. I hit grabbed the brass ring with him as a study partner. But anyway, we both asked to be released from the program, but I ended up getting as part of the nuclear power program, I had one hell of a machinist course too, a full 2 years of machinery and physics. I mean, you name it. It was a really well-rounded course.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, who's this? Hello. It's somebody shy. Imagine that. They don't want to talk.
They heard you in the air. They're like, "Is that a rapport?" Let's
click.
I want to remind you guys, if you're in the lobby and you do want to talk, to hit *2, I believe it is, if you're calling in on the phone, to raise your hand. That way I know that you want to talk. And then, okay, just making sure I don't miss anybody there. So while I got you on the phone, were you tuned in the beginning when I was talking about JFK rapport?
No.
Okay, I think you came in after that. I wanted to know, do you remember where you were when JFK was assassinated?
Let's see. What the hell? I think that was, what was that, 1964,
I believe.
Okay, I was 14 years old. So, yeah, basically, I was just a puberty strict.
63. So, yeah, well, you probably remember it being on TV a lot and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember how many people were in the car? Do you remember who was in the car with JFK that day and his wife?
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, I have seen that damn video so many times. Let's see. There were I'm pretty sure it was just Jackie and John in the back seat. Mm-hmm. And I think there were 3 people in the front seat, and there was a
well, there was Governor Connolly right in front of JFK, right?
Yeah.
Because then the bullet went through and hit him too. So I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and then do you remember? I guess the Secret Service agent was driving the car. So you remember seeing all the documentaries about what happened? Was it the driver? And so many. I know you being a truth seeker, you probably watched those conspiracy videos. And,
yeah.
Because somebody had sent me the transcripts. So those that's joining late, the police radio transcripts from that day. And it talked about the governor's wife was going to get picked up from the airport. She was going to be flying in from Austin, and they were going to pick her up and take her over to Parkland Hospital where her husband was undergoing surgery. But in the official records, or if you go look up the history now, you'll see that there's 3 rows of seats in the car and 6 people in the car. Governor Connolly still directly in front of JFK, but now his wife is directly in front of Jackie Kennedy. And the famous Zapruder film that used to be in black and white is in color.
Yeah.
Pretty wild stuff. So you haven't seen that one yet?
No.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How trustworthy are our memories and how easily can they be changed?
Yeah, it's a wild time.
This is the like I was talking about, the power of cognitive dissonance, and it's tremendously useful applications. Mm-hmm. And it's always been somewhat of a skill, an applied skill in manipulating our fellow human beings, in this very, very predatory existence where wolves become sheep and sheep become wolves, and all sorts of magical, mystical changes happen.
Yeah. It's an exciting time to be alive, though. I feel like I like You know, there's that one scripture in Daniel that talks about, you know, towards the end, people will run to and fro and knowledge will increase. And never before have we had such a great resource at our fingertips with being able to just resource. You know, you used to have to go to the library and spend tons of time, you know, there. So it's nice.
Yeah. Well, there just definitely seems to be a growing, you know, body of evidence that the planet is definitely about to pass through, you know, some sort of epical time.
Yeah.
And I you know, I wouldn't want to become, you know, so mesmerized with that everything else drops by the wayside.
Oh,
I like to keep my mind as open as possible.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah, we're apparent. Well, I mean, there is a place in Australia where the archaeological record has not been disturbed for, you know, several million years, and that's a favorite place to go out and pull up core samples, you know, and read them like we would read, you know, the human gene, or the rings of a tree. There are lots of ways to pull up records, and within that, you know, you can get little micro samples, you know, what life was like back then, you know, what the atmosphere was like, what the, you know, prevailing conditions were, whether you're in a Jurassic period or an Ice Age, or, you know, and any of the great cyclic events, or if a giant meteor had slammed into the Yucatan and really kind of rebooted things, you know. That, yeah, I like that. I like the archaeological records, and we are just zooming into, you know, a state of technological ability that is just has, if you look at it on a you know, a space-time graph, you know, the curve is not linear at all. I mean, it's slowly swooping up like a jet airplane, you know, that's just now standing on its tail and going straight up. So, yeah, you talk about living in a fascinating time. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, another one that you might enjoy looking up is in Antarctica. There's this lake down there. It's like Vishkov Lake, or you might have already seen it. It's the same type of thing where it's like the water has been completely encapsulated in the ice for, I don't know how long, a really long time, and it's sort of like a time capsule. I want to say it started with a V. I can't think of it now. Let me see if I can. Vishkov or Vostok. Vostok. Vostok Lake. But yeah, there's a documentary about that. Same thing. They were trying to figure out some device that can drill down through the ice without contaminating it and get some samples out of there, so they can see. You know, really cool. The same thing you're talking about.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't realize that lakes like that in extremely cold environments, if they're deep enough, at the very bottom of the lake is naturally occurring heavy water. And yeah, there was Germany had discovered in the deep freshwater fjords, or whatever they call them there in Scandinavia, some of those lakes are like miles deep, and at the bottom of them was naturally occurring heavy water, and they were actually pumping it, in the process of pumping out heavy water and experimenting with it. And heavy water is fascinating stuff. But yeah, the Allies had an all-out campaign dynamite the convoys, the pull avalanches down on the convoys and to wipe them away as they were,
just
returning,
alive,
going to get the product or returning the product, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so you can see, and of course heavy water is critical to containing uranium in a fusion reactor process. Heavy water is critical. It is still critical today. But at that time they didn't have enough heavy water, to put together a decent reactor. And they so like I said, they were pumping this naturally occurring heavy water, and it was a fait accompli. Once they had a sustained fission reaction in a nuclear reactor, then the containment pressures are up in the many thousands of pounds per square inch. And then they could blow hydrogen into the environment, which immediately bonds with any free oxygen, and that's what it's all about. The ideal metal to use in a reactor is a high grade stainless steel. It goes right up into like the I know 900 grade, and the common everyday stainless steel that you buy, from your marketer, the high grade stuff is like a 300 grade. There's a process. There's a damned if you do, damned if you don't with stainless steel, that at high temperatures and high pressures becomes very, very vulnerable to oxygen. And oxygen creates rust, and in those situations, you have a process. I believe it's called ostenesis. That only occurs, in that situation. So, any free oxygen is dangerous. You don't want it. I mean, you don't want that stuff that's highly radioactive and under thousands and thousands of pounds of pressure. You don't want it rusting because you definitely don't want the particulates getting in and mixing with the fuel meat and making the rods stick and stuff that has happened in the past that has culminated in a total meltdown scenario.
They had to learn the hard way on some of that stuff, huh?
Oh yeah, we had to learn. The Russians had to learn, and I don't know who else has suffered the consequences of being arrogant and saying, "Oh, that'll never happen here."
Right. Yeah, that's the type of thing to have a bunch of redundancies in place, not.
Oh, sure, I can shake those rods loose. Hold my beer.
Well, I do have a couple other callers report. I need to.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Yeah, we're coming down in the last half hour of the broadcast here. I do appreciate you calling in, though. Always a enlightening conversation with you, buddy. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to the phone lines. 814 area code. Are you there?
Hello, Shane.
Hey, how's it going?
This is Todd in Pennsylvania.
What is happening, Todd? I should have just brought you in. I wish I'd known it was you. So I can tell it's rapport because he's got his name on there. But I think
that's why I called in. I heard him talking about entropy, and I had something to chime in on that particular subject.
Yeah, do that.
Well, okay. So we look at this universe, and I can understand his perspective of looking at it as an entropic universe. It seems that everything just goes to shit. Everything just breaks down, and that's it. Well, I'd have to say that there is an opposite force at play. It's called Syntropy. Do you ever know why geese flock in a V for victory?
I always thought it was some kind of aerodynamic thing going on. Is that not what it is?
Yeah, exactly. It's an aerodynamic thing. They lessen the drag.
And they kind of take turns. You'll notice.
V.
Yeah.
Yeah, it creates a little vortex off the tip of their wing that uplifts the bird behind them to the left or to the right, respectively.
Right, right.
So what we have going on right here, right now, is syntropy, which is the opposite of entropy,
right,
taking over and enveloping humanity. Okay?
Yeah.
So what we've realized as we've come deeper into our connection to our heart, that we don't want to depart from our fellow man or our fellow woman. So we're doing everything that we can to uplift them so that they understand.
And
So
that's kind of where the whole way showers idea comes. Yeah.
Exactly, Shane. And as we go forward, we realize that there's nothing really here to fear. What we really have is something near and dear. And that's to hold each other's hands and to walk forward as we understand what it is to be woman and man. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's exactly how I view things too. Yeah.
Yeah, Syntropy is a symphony of life and a celebration of life. And it's really nothing to look at entropically. You see, we've dealt with this entropy within our beings, and it's what literally decays us. It's what gives us our cancers. It's what gives us our disease. It's what gives us our disorders. And it's what we displease. We don't appreciate it, yet we relish in it, unfortunately. Well, you flip that around and turn the whole game upside down and realize when you get into that connection with your heart, you don't depart. You uplift your fellow man just so they can understand that we're going forward into a place hand in hand that is absolutely beautiful and a heaven that we can all relate to and understand. And that is disclosed in the truth. Okay? And it's one of the interesting things that, I noticed Rapport was talking about. He definitely preaches that he lusts after the truth. I think we all do.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that's deep down within that when we realize what it is in our sin that keeps us from that, we can correct that in a syntropic symphony of life. We can realize and step right through the strife and create a whole new life for everyone that's just right.
And I was just thinking of that when you were saying that. It is just the realization is all it takes to shift into that different perspective, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's a simple, silly thing to even to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make it rhyme or whatever if you want, but
yeah.
It just helps it smooth it over. But quite frankly, it's that peanut butter that sticks to the top of his mouth that he always talks about.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think the thing that he's really seeking is that simple truth, that syntropy is a real thing. And when we realize that we're being human beings, we're being truthful, we're being loving, we're being selfless, and that's our being. That's just who we are and what we're really about. These are those higher truths that we've been seeking and wondering about. And it's really a simple thing, just to state it plainly, that entropy ain't no thing to dwell on.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to understand we're godlers in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Little gods in training. And what's the first thing that babies really learn about as they grow a little bit older? They undergo potty training.
Mm-hmm.
And dwelling in entropy is very much akin to dwelling with what lies within your diaper within.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of
It's the
truth
thing
to
that's
that.
the funniest. It's the thing that's the funniest. It's the thing that's the stinkiest. It's the thing that's so menacing.
Yeah.
Yet, as godlers, we dwell on this topic of how can we destroy. No, little boy. This is about creating a new life that ends all the strife. This is about creating pure syntropy for you and me.
Mm-hmm.
This is about taking that little poopy and creating a garden with it. It's time that we take off our diapers and realize where that poopy belongs. And that's my song. So anyway, that's pretty much all I had to offer tonight, Shane. I love to talk and everything, but sometimes I have a little bit of too much information sometimes. So I want to hold back and just give it to you in a little bit here and there, just so
Little bite-sized pieces.
people don't despair. Yeah,
no problem. There's always next week. I appreciate you, Todd. Thanks for chiming in, buddy. Well
all
said,
right, have
man.
a good one, Shane. You guys take care.
All right, you too.
All right, good night.
Bye-bye. All right, right back to the phone lines, 208 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, what's up, Shane?
Hey, what's happening? Who am I talking to?
This is Joel, or Enlightened Kelp.
Oh, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, not much. How you been, bud?
Oh, doing great, man. Good to talk to you again.
Heck yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, sorry to keep you waiting so long. It's just been a busy night
no
here on the
worries.
phones. And how's the wife?
Oh, she's fantastic, as
Wonderful.
always.
Well, tell her I said hello.
I absolutely will. So, how's life treating you, man? How's stuff been? It's been a long time.
Yeah, man, I'm digging it, man. I'm really becoming content with everything and just enjoying it and not worrying about those things out of my control, not getting sucked into all the chaos out there, because I mean, there's plenty of it if you want to get sucked into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There absolutely is. Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of get there at some point, or sometime or another, we all get sucked into it.
Yeah.
But
it's cool to just be an observer rather than getting sucked into it. You can just keep an eye on it, enjoy the show, and not get too invested, as they say.
Exactly. Absolutely. No, I was just calling in just to, say, hey, how's it going? Much love to everybody in the chat, and, say hi to you. And, I started throwing some of those questions out there in the chat about, Grand Central Station, but there's one of those new ones to me that kind of
Oh, yeah,
Dummy wonder
the Grand
scratched my
Central
head.
Station. Yeah, you actually
Yeah.
brought that topic up. So is that not a trip, man? That's like, gosh, when I heard about that, I'm like, no way, you know, and I looked it up, and sure enough, etched right into the stone of the building, Grand Central Terminal.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way.
Grand Central Terminal. Yeah, and I believe it was Ronnie who had said that terminal is a endpoint, not a destination. It's a place to stop, terminus.
Right.
You know, and
where it
station
terminates,
refers to stopping and endpoint, places to get from point A to point B, or wherever. That's a station.
Yeah, definitely.
That's very, very strange. You know, we've had a lot of these things happening lately, and we're like, man, we've seen everything, but then something new pops up. It's like, really, really.
Terminal. That's such a that's such a dead end word, isn't it?
It very much is. You've reached the end of the line.
Yeah. But I watched, when I first heard about that, I was like, there's got to be, stuff. And you watch videos where they're talking about it, and they'll say, people come into the station over and over again. But they call it the Grand Central Terminal now. And it's like, man, I wonder how much of that video has changed,
Exactly. It's very strange. And, another thing that was very weird, too, that recently happened is, I grew up learning that, and this was something we had a debate with our oldest son about, was that, I always grew up with the belief that Apollo was the Greek sun god. And apparently that's not the case. It's Helios.
Helios?
And, Helios is the Greek sun god, which is very strange. We kind of always thought that Helios was Roman, but apparently Helios is the Greek sun god, and Apollo.
Where does Zeus fit into that? Because I thought
right?
if you had asked me that, I probably would have said Zeus, just not being real sure of it. But I know Helios, refers to the sun, I guess. But
exactly, Helios, yes, absolutely, Helios does refer to the sun. So it would make sense that Helios would be the sun god.
Yeah.
But I always grew up with the knowledge that Apollo was the god of the sun.
Wow.
And so it's very interesting, but apparently I guess Apollo is the god of light and music, I guess. I have to look that up, but that's what I read, and I was like, wow, okay, interesting. Wow. I don't remember that.
Now I'm thinking back, let me see, Revelation... Seems like, don't they?
Because there is reference.
Or no, that's Apollyon.
Apollyon.
I'm thinking, okay, Apollyon.
Yeah, Apollyon. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, very interesting stuff. You see it. Yeah, I remember that too. Apollyon.
Yeah.
That was a big reference in there. And also Abaddon. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Abaddon.
Yeah.
People say it different ways. It means the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting stuff.
See, I wish I'd paid more attention to it. It all kind of runs together when I learned about it. Because, when I was taught about it early on, I just kind of felt like they were these, mythical gods or whatever. And then only later to find out that all of these stories align with different areas of the world. And it's like, oh, wow, that's the same guy with a different name. And then you begin to make these connections. And so I wish they would have taught it that way, because I think it would have been easier to remember it,
Yeah. According to different areas, they're called by different names, so they essentially mean the same thing, but it starts to run into a blur after a while, and you're like, okay, now, what, what? No, this isn't what I was taught.
Yeah.
But this is what it's being taught now. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's a weird
one. Yeah. Okay. Before I get too far, some interesting things, I wanted to talk to you the last time I talked to you, which, oh my goodness, it's been a while now.
Yeah.
But, so I know there's a lot of talk about how we're living in the age of Aquarius, which, I can kind of see it. I understand that. But I also see how, I myself, and this is my personal belief, I don't believe that we are quite yet. I do believe that we are living in the dawn of the age of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And we're witnessing the death throes of the age of Pisces, but the birthing pains of the age of Aquarius.
Right.
And the only reason I say that is because I do believe, and I follow, there's a couple there's about, as far as I know, there's about 3 different like astrological cycles. And, there's a sidereal zodiac and there's the tropical zodiac. And a lot of those, sidereal, I believe that follows the moon. And the tropical, I believe, follows the sun through the star sign. But according to the tropical, and this is my own personal belief, everybody's got their own, but when I look at the world and what's going on now, I do definitely see the death throes of Pisces and the birthing pangs of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
But officially, it's supposed to start next year, December of, I believe, 20th or 22nd, the actual start of the age of Aquarius, the first day when we're there. So, I always thought that was kind of interesting, but it's and I hear a lot of talk about, well, the age of Aquarius has been here since 2012, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, the dawn of it, I believe, probably definitely started then, but I believe that there's a lot of people that started seeing this who are very in tune, like, way back in like the 70s, started seeing this almost like Mandela effect kind of changes,
mm-hmm.
Probably because they were very in tune. And I think it's because they were seeing that dawn, that new age coming. The Great Awakening, the Age of Enlightenment, So very, very interesting to see. But, I mean, the technology and stuff, I know a lot of people would say, oh, we have rockets, we have this, we have that. And that's amazing. That's great. That's awesome technology. But when it's fully here, like the golden age, I mean, I think we're going to see some amazing stuff happen. I do believe that. Absolutely.
So you don't think it's something with the Gregorian calendar, or do you just think it's a transition period that wasn't calculated into the equation?
Well, I honestly, Shane, I do believe that there's a lot of stuff we're not told, and I think it's to keep us in the dark about stuff. But you can't deny the human spirit and what you feel in your heart. You can't deny that. If I mean, and people know, something in our world is changing. You just know it is. You can feel it. You can see it. Even if you don't speak it, even if you don't say your piece, that times are changing. Right?
Yeah.
And, that's really the way it is. And maybe, the Gregorian calendar was set up however it was to keep us in the dark. But, no matter how much you try to pull the wool over someone's eyes, truth comes to light. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. And so, that's my personal belief about the whole Age of Aquarius stuff. And I do believe it's a very real thing. But I've had a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's fine because, that's just my belief. I have nobody to prove anything to. But, it's very interesting stuff. But I do believe that it is, very imminent, right on our doorstep. And, the dawning is here, absolutely. We've been living in the dawning of it for a while. Because it does take a little bit of time for the sun to rise in a new sign.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, the moon does it once every 30 days or so.
Right.
But the sun, it takes a little bit longer.
Definitely.
And
on the cosmic scale, 10 years isn't anything. It's still a flash,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you step back and look at it, it kind of just goes by like that. It's like a blip, hardly.
Yeah.
Very
totally,
interesting thing. But yeah, it's very, very cool stuff. But if you want to learn some more about that, I don't know if you've ever heard about the whole biblical philosophy of the age of Taurus, in the Bible and stuff. This was something I showed my father, who was a minister, why they were sacrificing bovine or cows, why they would sacrifice bulls, or why they worshiped the golden calf is because during that time there was a lot of astrological belief, and they were also living in the age of Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after came the age of Aries. And so you have a lot of like stone statues and pictures with Moses depicted with horns on his head, with ram's horns.
Now that's new for you, right?
The age of Taurus.
Or is it?
That's not new for me, but it was new for some people I've talked to. I don't really talk to a lot of people about this because it's interesting. But that's also why Jesus was depicted, or is usually depicted with like symbolically with like fish.
Right, exactly.
Because of the age of Pisces.
And why they blow the ram's horn, and then the before that it was...
Yeah, why they blow the shofar.
Right.
Yeah, there's the shofar, excuse me. But like, with Jesus, breaking the bread and the fish, like feeding multitude of people, and how he teach people to be fishers of men, and how he's always represented with a little fish symbol. It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people might be upset, with the fact that, I know my father was a little distraught about it with the symbolism of the astrological ages that happen through there. But if you really start to look at it, you go, wow, okay, well, why is that in there? I don't understand why they do this. But from an astrological standpoint, it would make a lot of sense. Because they did follow the cycles, Very cool stuff. But
it's all connected.
Food for thought. It is all connected. You are right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but that's sort of the thing that you can see worldviews and stuff keep you from connecting those dots. So these people have this little part of the puzzle, and these people have this part of the puzzle, and they're keeping us separated and fighting with one another. We don't never put those pieces together and say, hey, they all fit together to create
they want
this
us
picture.
separated and fighting, and we
totally,
should not be. Like, everybody's got a piece of the puzzle, but everybody's hoarding their own pieces because we've been told to.
Yeah.
Because somebody else gets your piece or you put it down, oh, that's bad. But why? It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Like, it's better to share.
Yeah.
It's better to help out.
And I tell people all the time, I've learned more since I've been open-minded than ever before. And, it's not like I'm jumping in any other kind of worldviews, but I just consider them, and then you take what you want, what resonates with you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's following that, that following your heart, following what's, already in your spirit. It's like almost like defying what you're told just to follow what you feel to be right.
Yeah.
And not everybody's got like, myself included, nobody's got like the answer, but together we do. That's like the whole point of it in unity. So it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, amazing time to be alive because you can really see how people are starting to put these together, the pieces together.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, yeah. The pieces, like, it's almost like everybody just kind of dropping their pieces. Like, okay, what you got? Let's take a look. We'll swap, see what we can fit together here. I mean, that's how you got to build a puzzle, right? Everybody's got to work together. Everybody's got to work together.
Why can't we all just get along, right?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Yep. We'll stop those puzzle hoarders.
Well, this next thing I'm putting together, man, with these the call radio logs of the JFK thing, man, I think this is going to be huge because why is his wife in Austin? Yeah, why is his wife in Austin needing to fly in when she was in the car next to him? I mean, that's to me a huge smoking gun, man. So I got to do some more research into that.
There's some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Weird stuff with that Zapruder film, just in general, just the film.
Oh,
but
yeah,
everything, like everything on top of that is just, what? Why won't they release the documents? What do they not want us to know? That kind of stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it really
very
is.
Interesting. Hey, have you ever, and this is new to me, but have you ever looked into like the mud flood theory?
Yeah, I have. I watched a few videos on it. It's pretty interesting. It's like all of a sudden, all this stuff pops up, and I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or just more history coming out, but the way everyone started talking about it at one time, I'm like, why did this start trending so hard?
It's like all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't know what to think about that, but it is very interesting. And some of it's kind of compelling, and some of it you go, well, I don't know, wait a minute. But
yeah,
it's very strange Makes you
Yeah,
wonder.
these new maps that's popping up, and Tartarus. Did you hear about Tartarus?
Yeah.
Too? Yeah,
Tartarus,
that's crazy.
And Target, that's some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the biggest empire on Earth.
Yeah, and the first thing I thought is, oh my God, I don't want to have to learn an entirely different history. And I mean, if it's true, it's great. I'll just trust you with it. It just doesn't matter enough for me to go and clutter up my brain with a whole new history to try to learn. You know what I mean? There's so much going on right now,
absolutely.
but it's interesting.
Very crazy.
But yeah, it's a
and
deep
the other
rabbit
cool
hole.
Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Another cool thing too is I don't know how long it's been, but for a while now. I guess it started snowing in L.A., certain parts of L.A. yesterday for a little bit, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I heard about snow in Las Vegas and Malibu, and
in Vegas too. Yep.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's some weird stuff going on.
What's the Earth doing? No, maybe it's course correcting. Very interesting. But yeah, I just wanted to call and chat with you a bit, because I haven't talked to you in a while, and send much love and light your way. I love you, dude, and I love the work you're doing. Me and Carrie, we're sending our love and our appreciation to all of you guys. We love you all. But just wanted to call
buddy.
and
yeah, I
send love,
appreciate
man.
you checking in. Yeah, keep doing that wonderful art you do, and Carrie's in the
thank you,
chat.
brother. I
Hello,
will.
Carrie. So I appreciate. Yeah, I've been chatting with her on the side here. So yeah, I don't know. I trust her though. I mean, she said she was the nerd that wrote everything down, and I was drawing pictures in class, so I can't be sure about Apollo. I'm always
doing. Yeah,
oh yeah, I bet you were. It's like I was kind of listening. I was listening enough to take the test, but I didn't really care about it. I was like drawing pictures.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
All right, brother. Hey, much love, and much love to everyone in the chat. We love you guys.
All right, much love to you guys too, man. Have a good one.
You bet. Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see. We are almost at the top of the hour. I got a few minutes. I can go to Anna. How are you doing, Anna?
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got about 2 minutes left. What's your
right.
comment?
Yeah, we have rapport here. Let's see. Yeah, that's my actual. Yeah, he's my online friend, etc.
Oh yeah, he was on earlier for a while.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, hey, while you're at it, if he gets unmuted, go tell him to kill himself. He deserves to die. Fuck himself.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tell him that. All right, we're going to wrap this one up, and we will see you guys next week. Hopefully we can get going on Oneness Talk Radio. Let's see. It's funny because every time it says it's connected at the end, and then when it comes back, it's not connected. So we'll figure that out. So lots of love to everybody in the chat. We'll see you tomorrow for the Power of 8 at 8 with Eileen and I. No, it's not extended. It's just 3 hours. Yeah, I'm trying to get it set to a perfect 3 hours because that's how long the show is going to be. And so yeah, I'm trying to work on these hard breaks and everything, and I'll figure it out though. But it was a good test run. I got all the audio done, so when we figure out the connection issues with me connecting up to the Oneness Talk Radio, then I'll start streaming over there. It won't be different for you guys, other than we'll have some 3-minute breaks at the top of the hour for the last 3 minutes of the hour, and then we'll come right back. So I don't mind having a little break. Normally I just go without a bathroom break or anything, so it'd be nice to have 3 minutes to run to the bathroom and stuff like that. So, and then we'll get it in more of a format that works with everybody. So lots of love to you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night with Eileen, and we'll see you also Monday for the Paranormal Frequencies with Sherry, and then Tuesday we're going to be back with Michelle Wolf. And of course, you can always go to uotf.net and see the schedule. And the show schedule on the website will give you the times of the show in your own time zone. So definitely want to check that out. And go over to onenesstalkradio.com. They got my page set up over there, which is really cool. And I got a host page and a show page. So everything's pretty much set up. We just got to figure out these connection issues, and we'll be all good to go. So we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.
You're